Here we go. Waited until last minute. Push that button. I did. Let me put my headphones on and make sure I'm talking. That way, somebody just joined. I got two people in the room. We are officially ready to start right now with two people. Randy, you joined. You got right in there at 8 o'clock. You was just like me. You jumped right in. Y'all let me know if my noise, if my voice is coming through okay. And woohoo! There it is. Benefits soon. We will lose. Who's that? Blessed Michelle. That is, I love seeing y'all come in here, all of y'all people. Goodness gracious. Y'all must want to hear that book of Enoch. I mean, to tell you that one chapter when I was preparing this one, and it's a long chapter too. If y'all printed this out, this is one of the biggest ones. It's full of information. But when I found out, where they buried the fallen angels or where some of them are in the desert and what have you, that was sort of cool, man. And, I just, not a lot of people, a couple of people got on here and they were like going, I sort of have a question about reading the Dead Sea Scrolls. I'm like going, well, you got to understand that when the Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered, everybody thought that they had found the lost Ark of the Covenant and had put they thought everybody when they found the Dead Sea Scrolls, they thought they discovered the hidden secrets of the Bible. So they sent their archaeological teams from all over the world. And just know that, I mean, like everybody's little Indiana Jones, everybody, the Isaac, the Smithsonians, the Rockefellers, everybody, all the countries, they all sent their people to do all these expeditions into the Dead Sea for 10 years. And to prove that those documents, well, they just reiterated, these documents are 2,000 years old. They've been buried in a cave since the time of Christ. And they verified all of that in those documents. So it's without a doubt they're part of everything. And they're part of the books that were the church really didn't want you to see. But I always put this in there for a reason. It's definitely in the Old Testament Apocrypha right there. This is out of my dad's Bible from 1839. And right here after the book of Maccabees and all this stuff, it tells you right there that the book of Jubilees and the book of Enoch are to be enumerated amongst, enumerated amongst the holy books. That's just, I can tell you why they put them in last place and in the booth in the back in the corner in the dark. They tell everything that the fallen angels didn't want you to hear. It literally calls them out by name, calls their deeds out by name. Thank you so much, Arkansas, Gigi, Randy, Staley. I certainly appreciate that. Hello, everyone. Hello from Arizona. Beautiful Arizona. That's awesome. Man, I'm so glad that y'all joined in. We're just adding a little validity to the Dead Sea Scrolls. I always like to go through these and tell everybody, hey, I'm not reading you something that, is out of the cartoon books. These are probably the most officiated documents, the apocryphal documents of the Dead Sea Scrolls. They were verified by, representatives from every continent on the planet. So just know that this is not a, hey, New Zealand, I love that place, man. Isn't that where they filmed like Game of Thrones or something like that? Beautiful place over there. Indiana, my wife's from Indiana. She's right up there from, and AJ, he went to school up there in Indiana. Hello from Dublin, Ireland, my favorite. I love that place. We went into the bar where they made the Dubliners started appearing and were, I guess, founded or whatever. And man, we had the best time in the world. And they fell in love with my wife, and they played her Hotel California on those stringed instruments and all. It was super amazing to sit there in Dublin, Ireland, and listen to them. My BFF is moving to Indiana tomorrow. All right, man. It's a cool place. Her cousin lives down there in the bottom corner of a real fancy place. Hello from Texas. I love Texas. Everything is bigger there. Everything really is bigger there. I wonder how big the Buc-ee's is there. We got a big Buc-ee's here. But Texas has got to have a bigger Buc-ee's. I know, right? MSLB, I love it, man. Thank you so much. Mustache. Ooh, I love it. Put it on there. Enoch chapter 4 tonight, daily inspiration. He knows that, man. It's right there. That's my son, daily inspiration. And I've got this is a big lesson tonight. So if you haven't downloaded the study guide, you got to. Hang on. I'm going to show you what it is. I have the exact place and all that for you to go to. You have to go to my bio page and click on my link tree. Go to my bio page right there, and then click on my link tree right there, the one that says link tree. And then Go right here and click on that and get you a t-shirt. God send t-shirt. I love these. These are awesome. They say Ezekiel 33:3 on the back of it. I had Turban on the other day. And then go right there and download the book of Enoch, because you're already in the class and you don't need to register for it. But you can go right there, click on the book of Enoch, and that's going to pull up this whole study guide, which is absolutely, I'm going to flip through it real quick and just show you. The study guide is super awesome. I know. Again, the art and all that stuff is just super amazing. But this is when the fallen angels descended, onto earth. And this is the punishment. This is when they sort of, got Enoch to say, hey, can you send a petition for us, man? We'd like to not do this anymore. And he said, no. And then they say, go warn Noah and tell Noah what's getting ready to happen into his generations. I love that picture right there, man. Because you got to imagine it cleaned and wiped the whole earth. And when the water settled, like there's lots of people probably hanging out at the beach. And then that's going to be like, that's page 3. This is just so much. And this chapter, page 4, then he starts telling them, hey, go bind this dude right here, and go bind Samalaz right there, hand and foot. Tells you exactly where. Ooh, that's so cool, because it tells you where. And then I actually had the place where it is. You can look it up. And then this is the next page. It tells you all about the righteous. And, this is just, I can't read the writing, it's so small. Go bind Azazel. Go bind Samalaz. Yeah, man, they binding everybody. Cleanse the earth. Destroy every stain. And the vineyards. Oh, they talk about building the vineyards right there. Oh, this is just. And then it tells right here on the last page. Go bind that guy right there. I love it, man. And then Enoch, it just sits right there and tells you all through. And then somebody just asked me just now in the comments, they said, who wrote this? And it says Enoch wrote this. You got to understand, too, that there's only a couple of books in the Bible that says I wrote this, and they would have been transferred through the years. So, like Enoch's original manuscript probably isn't what transcribed through that. But the story of the fallen angels, I guarantee you, the fallen angels that existed and that still are hindering us today. I do just assure you that's Robin Williams chapter 4 is tonight. It is. It's chapter 4, and you go out there. But they're all here, and even if you don't think that the fallen angels are out, in 1033, that's when the rest of the dead live again. So that's Revelations chapter 20 right there, when the rest of the dead yet live again. And just some great pictures whenever Enoch, Noah, I can only imagine whenever Noah was like on the water, it's probably just full of like dead people. And then the angels are coming down and they talk to Enoch, and he was taken up into heaven. I'm going to tell you what, I got a super amount to read. And I really do appreciate y'all sticking with me. And this is Tuesday night, man. Wednesday night is my Jubilee night, man, and it's just super amazing. Arkansas, Gigi, thank you so much. I had to turn my volume up to full. Okay, let me see. Turn that up, and then turn that up right there. How about that? How about if I coming through better? That way it's a little gain module.
I could hear you good.
You could. She just said, yeah. She just said you had to turn it up. And I got it into that normal spot right there, and then right there. Okay. Yes, better. You know what? You got to watch out with a voice like this, because sometimes you just blow up the mic, and you can watch that thing peg that meter real quick if I get in there. And I love reading to y'all, though. I certainly do. And I love the fact that we're getting the opportunity to read these Dead Sea Scrolls. And you got to be careful when you start to look up these Dead Sea Scrolls. I really dig y'all watching. I just saw that. I dig your TikTok page, man. I tell you what, y'all set me down the biggest roads, man. We were talking about Revelation chapter 20 and how he went in under the altar and saw the souls of those that were beheaded for the witness of Christ. And easily identified. That's John the Baptist, and Matthew 27:52, when the rocks did rent and the bodies of many saints which slept arose and they walked through the city streets of Jerusalem. That was one thing. It's just an amazing story when you start to realize that Revelation chapter 20 was when Jesus went down and locked away Satan and began the first 1,000 years of what it says is the first resurrection. Tap, 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 screen. That's what my son said do. We all have something going around, and it ended up being a huge rainstorm out there, so y'all bear with me. But the book of Enoch, chapter 4, that's what we're getting ready to read. We've been 10 minutes into it, and I'm going to tell you, I cannot dilly-dally too long with this one because it's about 6 pages of just straight up meat, and it's really cool. It's really cool. Has anybody had a chance to read Enoch? Has some wild stuff. You got to stay in Enoch 1, and the things that I'm starting to see, in Enoch 1, it really does just say Genesis 6:4. It's really just Genesis 6:4 over. Did you read about the kings looking for Enoch and his followers in the mountains? You probably in the Enoch 2 and in the parables and what have you, and none of that was found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. And even though it's very entertaining reading, it is it's not it was not in Qumran. It was not in the Dead Sea Scrolls. So just know that Enoch 1 is only about 35 pages, and it's basically just talks about the fallen angels. It's Genesis 6:4 on steroids is all it is. It's not Noah and turning, his eyes turn blue and he levitates off the floor and all that stuff. It's just hogwash. And they put that with it. They paired that with it to defame the book. But in the 1950s, after the Second World War, they found the book of Enoch, the 35 pages, Enoch 1. So just know that's the real part. And also, too, when you start to ask the computer and start to ask your computer things, you want to ask for a Dead Sea Scrolls translation, because the church sent out a guy named R.H. Charles, and he translated it in 1913, the Dead Sea Scrolls. And he put all kinds of things that made it read exactly like the Holy Bible that you have right now. And when they found the Dead Sea Scrolls, they found out a couple of main things that he changed. But it was all basically about Jacob, which is known Israel, which is struggles with God. And it was particularly, there's Arlo, Arkansas. Genie knows where Arlo is. He'll come in here in a minute. But that's just fun facts right there. I don't want to get too far off subject. The book shows us it's not a global creation. It's globally been accepted by every archaeologist on the face of this planet. So it is that, and it was in the same amount of copies as the book of Genesis and Exodus, and the book of Jubilees, the book of Enoch, the book of Genesis, and the book of Exodus were all found in about 18 copies of each one of those. So just know that those 4 books, and I'm reading you 2 of them. We do love Arlo. I love him to death, and he's such a good dog. But I wouldn't be reading you some kind of hogwash, and these are all been verified documents. I heard rumors the Jesuits held a copy secretly. I wouldn't doubt it. The Dead Sea Scrolls busted all that up, man. When they found the Dead Sea Scrolls in 1944, the dude, R.H. Charles, I hope he was still alive during that time, because it literally just busted him out. And he was commissioned by the church. It was a bunch of Knights Templar dudes went down there to go get the copy of Enoch. And they got a couple of copies of that and the book of Jubilees, and then did these translations. That's when they added all the hogwash to it. But like 30 years later, in 1944, 1946, they found the Dead Sea Scrolls, and all the BS that they had put together for those books got found out when they transcribed the Dead Sea Scrolls. And what got boring to the people that found the Dead Sea Scrolls and were finding and sent all these, Indiana Jones over there finding the Dead Sea Scrolls, is they sort of got bored because they didn't find the Ark of the Covenant, and they didn't find the buried church or a map with a big X on it. They found a bunch of books of the Bible, and they read exactly like the books of the Bible. So it was no big deal. And they were like going, okay, well, this reads just like Genesis, and this reads just like Exodus, and, well, this is the Isaiah scroll. It reads word for word. So they were reading the books of the Bible word for word, and then just I guess they just didn't realize, hey, you know that book of Genesis right there? We found as many copies of that as the book of Jubilees. Yeah. Well, the book of Jubilees, did y'all catch that first paragraph where it says God wrote this and gave it to Moses while he was on the mountain? Yeah, okay. I didn't notice where any of the other books said that God wrote them, other than in the book of Genesis, about chapter 20, it says that God wrote the Ten Commandments with his finger. So know that. Love the picture. Reminds me of walking on water. Walking on water. You know what? That's so funny when you say walking on water, because the things, JD Fun, that I've been reading in, what's it? Was this book? Oh, yeah, it is. And a couple of, we're in Jubilees. And they walked through the sea with Moses as though it was dry land. And that the Egyptians that pursued them fell into the water and underneath them. Okay, and Jesus walked on the water. Lots of things were on top of the water. Not any story where they split the water. On top of it, it says there were reeds. So when they put down the reeds and all that stuff, I don't put too much into it. It's just what I read. And good afternoon, buy your fruit. And you know what? Hey, that's my guy in the morning. Aren't you the morning guy, buy your fruit guy? Because I love your show. You know what? You're the only, where's he at? I just saw it. Y'all pin his comment up there, man. I love that guy. I sit there and watch him in the morning. He's got he's pretty chill. And he sits there with just a couple of people in the room, man. And he's right on with it every day. Love that guy. He's the only person I subscribe to. Buy your fruit. Hey, man, I subscribe to your channel just so that I can see what it's like to work the buttons. That's where I found out you can't work the stickers. I was like, daggum, I loaded all those pictures in there. But, you know, you were the one that I was talking with, too, and you had said that you sort of lost interest because it said that the animals all spoke the same language. You remember when we were talking about that? And I think that was the conversation I had with you. And it was very interesting because then I went back and sort of showed where it says that in the Bible, too. And, you know, they were all of one language, and then they were separated in the garden and all from that point. But I love that. I love that. So I am Kaiser. I don't know what that means. I love all of y'all, and I'm going to read this. I just want to get everybody back on the same page with me. These are from the Dead Sea Scrolls, and these are some of the most verified books in existence. And the reason that I'm reading them is that the church, they notice all these books. These are the apocryphal books of the Old Testament right here. After they list off the book of Maccabees, and after they list all this stuff, you can see right here, they say that the book of Jubilees and the book of Enoch are to be enumerated amongst the holy books. Just know that. And then they found them in the Dead Sea Scrolls, and then everybody read them word for word, translated them, and went, wow, Genesis reads just like Genesis, Exodus reads just like Exodus, Isaiah, da-da-da-da-da. And here, just like Daniel said, Daniel 12:9, go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed until the time of the end. Now, that's all I got to say about that. But I do want y'all to know, it's not, the church says they should be enumerated. Every scientist that ever went to the Qumran Dead Sea Scrolls and checked all that stuff out, they said this is legit stuff, man. It's been here since, you know, before Jesus Christ, thousands of years. I don't even think we knows the gospel. You know what? A lot of people don't know God's word. That Jubilees is God's word, says that. And the Ten Commandments says God's word, says that. Wrote them with the finger. In the book of Jubilees, at the beginning of it, it says that he wrote the Ten Commandments and that the book and gave it to Moses for him to teach man with. And you know, Moses, he wrote the book, the first 5 books of the Bible, says that. And then it tells you the other people that wrote the books, other books in the Bible. And, you know, it's odd to me when God speaks, God says, thou shalt not kill. And Jubilees is awesome. I love reading Jubilees. In the book of Exodus, God says, thou shalt not kill. And then we wrote the 3rd book of the Bible, or Moses did. And it says that it's okay if you stone somebody to death if they do this, that, or the other thing. And about 17 things. Actually, there were 30-something things that you could do that they could exercise the penalty of death. And just know that that's man writing that. I mean, Moses wrote that. And that's not God's word. And God gave Moses the 10 Commandments, and Jesus in front of the Pharisees, when they were getting ready to crucify him, he said, Moses gave you the word, yet you still seek to kill me. And that's because Moses gave them the word of the book of Jubilees, which doesn't say anything about punishment in that. It says honor the Sabbath. And then he gave them the 10 Commandments, and it says thou shalt not kill. It doesn't say. And then Moses wrote some other books, and they came up with some things that you could do to stone people and what have you. And I just want you to know that Jesus is the one that said, Moses gave you the law, yet you still seek to kill me. So you figure out what Jesus was talking about. Moses gave them the 10 Commandments, and the 10 Commandments were written with the fiery finger of God. Know that. And I am going to push my lesson in 2 seconds and start on page 1, because this is actually pretty cool. And AJ told me that I couldn't play around long on here because I got a lot to read, and he has a lot to edit. I love reading this stuff to y'all. And Matthew 22:37, buy your fruit. We'll see. Love it. Matthew 22:37. I'll stop for you, brother. Matthew 22:37. And Jesus said unto them, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and all thy soul and all thy mind. And the second commandment is like unto it. That's my favorite scripture in the world, man. It boils it all the way down to 2, and it just says you got to love God, love your neighbor as yourself. Thank you so much for pointing that out. That's why I follow you. Because like I said, it's very easy. It's 10 commandments. He boils the great commandment down into love God and love your neighbor as yourself. And if you do that, you won't want to murder them or do the other things that it says in the 10 commandments. And I think it's very important that we understand that man wrote all the other books of the Bible. And in those books, it tells all about some things that are just like what man would do. And I'm sorry, it's just it conflicts with God's word, which is thou shalt not kill. And that's what I want you to know Jesus was preaching. That he said, Moses gave you the law, and yet you still seek to kill me. And the Pharisees were still running around calling each other master. He said, don't do that. Don't do this. It wasn't even, Jesus even asked and said, who do you think the Messiah is? Who do you think Christ is? And they said, that's the son of David. I'm going, okay, well, he's like 1,000 years ago. And don't tell me that's in the line of David. I know that's the line of David. But the Pharisee says that is the son of David. And Jesus questioned him. Why do you think they did not include Enoch in the Bible? Mr. Nice Guy, I can tell you that the book of Enoch, it just cold bust them out. The fallen angels and all of the rest of the dead that yet live again in 1033. They had their say and so and things, man. I mean, they would have pulled that book. It definitely calls this dude out by name, man. Azazel. Raphael bind Azazel and tells him exactly where, and then calls this other guy Sam Lazaz, whatever, that calls him out by name, man. If I was Sam Lazaz and all these dudes, I'd be like, going, make sure that hits the garbage can until the day of the end when that cave gets unsealed and all that they talk about in Daniel. We can just move that right out of the way. And the church, that's who the book of Revelation was written to, the churches. So just know they did change the 10 Commandments to Catholic Church. They changed the Sabbath from Saturday to Sunday, and then they changed the 10 Commandments, and they took the word Sabbath out, and they said, in the day of our Lord. So just know that they changed that, and somebody was just telling me, don't add to or take away from that one right there. You know what? In the book of Jubilees, y'all been reading with me for like 18 years. All it says is honor the Sabbath, honor the Sabbath, honor the Sabbath, like everything. because that's such a big deal that God created the whole world and rested on the seventh day, and we should pay that same respect to the process. We should rest on that. Thank you, Mr. Morris. I certainly appreciate everything. He's the one with the t-shirts right here, and they're super cheap, man. I really do. I'm going to get on to my lesson, I promise you. But before I do, I have to show you this. That thing costs $18. It is so cool. And there's a blue one too, trumpet. It says this on the back. You should go buy one of these. I like them. And they are right above my lesson, which go here, go to my link tree, and then go download the study guide that I'm getting ready to go to right now, I promise. And then there's where you can go buy a t-shirt, and he'll send it right out to you. All right. You ready to go? Y'all get that study guide down, because it's hard to sort of see on the screen. There's a lot of print and a lot of text. You can read right along with it. But when we get done with these lessons, you'll be able to pull the cover off of them and stick them together and have this like most killer book of Enoch. It's only 7 chapters. The last chapter is like forever. So we've only got 3 more to go on that. And I really enjoy reading that. It's only 35 pages of just straight text. And it is on my YouTube page if somebody wants to go listen to me do the audio book of the book of Enoch. It is on my YouTube page. It's right. This one. I did put it on there. Right there, man. Like 17,000 people listen to that. 49 minutes long. That's cool. These are all cool, man. That's just straight up Book of Enoch. That's almost like one of my first songs, man. That's just straight reading. Enoch 1. That is cool. I do. Oh, and then AJ took all of my Jubilees, and instead of me running off at the mouth, he cut all that stuff out. So now he made them into audiobooks, and he's got a bunch of those loaded up and still doing a bunch of Maccabees right there, too. Some really cool things on the YouTube that he's doing. I love everything he does. This Arlo. My little boy. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Subscribers, I'm getting the pictures loaded up. These right here are already on there. If you're a subscriber of mine, I think like those top 10 or so are loaded in, and I have all the wording and all that stuff. Those are the coolest pictures. That's a Sphinx right when they found it. All of these pictures are 100 years old. They're on a big thing about copywriting and all that going out now on TikTok. If you use somebody's work and it's copyrighted, you can use all my pictures. They're on the public domain, and my stuff spread the word of God. Freely it is found, and freely I give it. So just know that. You can just have all that work that you want. Hope you're having a wonderful day. I certainly do, Big Diesel. And I certainly do. I'm supposed to start this lesson. I know that I am. Yeah. Page 1, chapter 1. If you went to the study guide, you downloaded this. It is book 1, The Watchers, right there. And I have to click. I printed mine in black and white. What's wrong with that? That one. Next page. Page 1. Bam. Chapter 4, Intercession of Angels. And AJ, I think he's setting up another live little function here.
Tell him it's on YouTube too. Some people.
Yeah.
No. What are you doing?
Well, I just didn't want to hit the volume knobs.
Oh.
So that's going to be on YouTube too. He's streaming that live. But all the pictures and the green screen stuff, I just don't know how to work it on there yet. And I would get Listexia if I did that. So I'm going to start reading this. And this is one of the pictures. This is right when they were looking down from heaven, and they saw all the death and destruction on the earth. And they said, man, this earth cries. Now, I want you to know that the Dead Sea Scrolls version, my wife likes the amplified version of the Bible. So this is an amplified version of the Dead Sea Scrolls translation. I've read it word for word and side by side, and you'll see in parentheses that the amplified version of it adds things like the archangels. And it just is a little bit, I love the way it sort of describes it. It reads so much better. It takes all the you seeketh blah, 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 and it'll say, like, you see blah, blah, blah. So I like the way that it reads as well, too. So I hope that y'all have all been learning something every time I hear you. Thank you so much, Jamie. I certainly appreciate that, man. And I learned some stuff today, and I just can't go off on that tangent or I won't stop. I'm going to read this because this is really cool. Y'all with me? Y'all got your study guide printed out? You had a vivid dream that you won a Bible last night. Didn't you win? JD, didn't you win a Bible? I thought you did. Hello, YouTube. I thought you did win a Bible. Cool. If you didn't, you might. And I don't mind doing that once or two nights a week, man, but it was almost like an auctioneer's call, and it really, to me, took away from the lesson a little bit from me being able to talk. It was, yeah, go, chow, and I just, good vibe. You're painting right now, man. You know what? I went to art school, and boy, howdy, I can't paint, draw, none of that stuff. I went for video production and photography, but I'm terrible at that. God bless you for that painting. It's amazing skill. I just now connected the dots. Tell you one dots I connected the other day. I wrote this book. I'm going to show you what I wrote. I wrote this book right here. It is The Seven Seals as they apply through time. My son hasn't even seen this rough draft. It is the Seven Seals as they go through the time. And, man, I've got a great TikTok to send you. There's about 20 pages of information on each one of the seals, and I can tell you exactly where we are with the seals, but I'm not going to do that unless I explain through this, and it'll take me about 30 minutes to go down that road with you, but I just want you to know, when I read it to you, you're going to freak out. And I totally pegged that one. Just do it. Click Seven Seals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, that's where the sword of, let me see. We're going to go start a lesson right here. I received my Bible today. Thank you so much. You know what, Arkansas GD, I certainly appreciate that, man. Those are cool Bibles that we sent out. And I'm ready for that. Georgia Peaches, I tell you what, man, the seals, oh, you're going to die. You're going to die. You're going to die. It's such a cool book. It's such a cool book. The 7,000 years. We're on the 6th day. A day is like 1,000 years. 7 seals. Hot diggity dog. Hot diggity dog. If you open the first seal on the first day, you're going to pop that 6th seal in 2033. 7th seal. Daily inspiration. Thank you so much. All right. Let's read this. This is the intercession of angels, Enoch, chapter 4. Get a picture. The archangels, Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel, looked down from the heavens, from their dwelling in the high and holy place, and they saw that much blood was being shed on the earth through violence, murder, and war, and that lawlessness, wickedness, and rebellion was being carried out across the face of the whole world. And that they said to one another, behold, the earth, though it was created to be filled and inhabited, now cries out in distress and grief, that the voices of those slain cry out in lamentation, and their cries ascend all the way up to the gates of heaven, seeking justice. Now, see this amplified version? Those were the things, seeking justice, and these in parentheses. So that's really what helps explain this to my wife. And I hope that's helping you too. And now it is to you, the holy ones of heaven, the divine beings in your presence, the souls of mankind present their case, making supplication and entreaty, present our case, our plea for justice before the Most High, God, the Supreme Judge. And they, the holy angels, spoke and said to the Lord of ages, you are the Lord of lords, God of gods, King of kings, and God ever after, God everlasting. Your throne of glory remains unshaken and is established throughout all generations of eternity, and your name is holy, glorious, and forever blessed. You have created all things by your wisdom and sovereign power, and you have dominion and authority over all. All things are revealed before you. Nothing is hidden from your all-seeing eyes. Everything lies open and bare in your sight. No, right there. I'm reading right there. I'm going to read this last bottom. And they, the holy angels, spoke. I just said that in your sight. You see what Azazel has done. He has taught all kinds of wickedness and unrighteousness upon the earth, and he has revealed eternal secrets, divine mysteries that were stored in heaven, which men were not meant to know, but eagerly sought to learn. And Samlazaz, the leader of the rebellious watchers, to whom you gave permission and authority to rule over his fellow fallen ones. Right there. And you know what? I just still can't even say that word right there. Sam Lazaz. Sam Lazaz. I don't even want to say his name again because he's dummy. He's a dummy. Come on, we're going to keep going, man. You're probably knows globe. It's a lie. I do know you know what? I don't want to tell you that anything's a lie, but if you think you know what shape this earth is, I know enough to win both sides of the argument, and I can tell you we live in a realm, man, a kingdom of God, and if you got the brains enough to explain to me how to build a blade of grass or how to make a heartbeat in the middle of the counter, I probably would believe you if you told me about the earth. But I just want you to know, man, I think that's put up there. No, nobody went to the moon. The dudes that were hanging on the little string, they didn't make it up there. It is in a firmament, and the planets are in the firmament, and there is water above the firmament. Those are all things that are written. That's the word of God. You just need to know that. Go to the bank on it, and just go to the bank and get a loan on it right there. But as far as boiling it back down to what shape this thing is right here, you know, I don't know. Job, he didn't know. And God even said, where were you when I held back the sea and held back the wind? And who was there to lay a tape upon it? Were you there? And he was like, which is exactly what you would be doing if you were decided that you knew something. Because he'd going, man, y'all don't know anything. How do you make an acorn? Come on. How do you make an acorn? And you'd be like going, man, I don't even know what the crap is on an acorn. I'm 100. Did I get a 100 on that? Where were you? I must be lost in a conversation. I'm not going to try unless they pin them up. You pin them up, I read to you. Let's go. These watchers, the angels who rebelled, have descended to the daughters of mankind upon the earth and have taken them as wives and laid with them. Defiling themselves through sexual union, they revealed to the women all manner of forbidden knowledge and practices, and from this union were born giants, Nephilim, violent and destructive beings, and through them the whole world has become defiled with bloodshed, corruption, and unrighteousness. Now behold, the souls of those who have died, the victims of this evil, cry out, making their supplications at the heavenly gates. Their mourning and lamentations ascended constantly, without ceasing, because of the atrocities and lawless deeds committed on the earth. And you, O Lord, know all things, even before they come to pass. You see these things happening now, yet you allow them to continue. You have not told us, the holy ones, that we are to do what we are to do with these transgressors in response to their deeds. Then the Holy One, the Great One, spoke and gave a commandment. He sent Uriel, the son of Lamechek, saying, go to Noah and speak to him in my name, saying to him, hide yourself, take shelter, and prepare, and reveal to him the end that is approaching, and that the entire earth is about to be destroyed by the great deluge, a flood, and that all living things on it will perish. But instruct him carefully that he may escape, and his seed, his descendants, by the preserved and may be preserved for all future generations. But again the Lord said to Raphael, bind Azazel, hand and foot, rendering him powerless, and cast him into the darkness, a pit of judgment. Make a hole, an opening in the desert, specifically in the region called Dudel, and throw him into it. Pile upon him sharp, jagged stones, and cover him in utter darkness. Let him dwell there forever, and veil his face so that he may never be seen again, never see again the light of day. And on that day, and on the day of great judgment, the day of the Lord, the final reckoning, he shall be cast into a burning fire. So that's Azazel, and that Dudeel place right there over my shoulder. I got that place right here. That Dudeel. We should go to Dudeel. Dudeel. That's Dudeel. That's where they are. Sea of Tiberias is right over there. If you look at it. And this one, thank you so much for the gifts. I certainly appreciate that. And that's the Sea of Tiberias. That's the Jordan River. And that's Dudeel in here. This one. That is Dudeel. There's a hole. There's a hole. And I meant that in the best ways in the world. Okay. And then this is the place that we just read, and it is the kettle, and it is the cauldron of God right there. So just know this where they said pile them up at. And that is awesome, man. Wow. I can't believe that. That is so cool. Look at this place right here. This is in Dudeel. That's where they're at. There's their little, that's their condo with the beach and the little lake. This is in a desert now, okay? Know that. You know, I love that when people say the shape of the earth. You know, you got to do with flat water level. A lot of people say water level. Water's always level. You tell me why the Dead Sea is 1,480 feet below sea level. The Sahara Desert's like 500 feet below sea level. Somebody ought to dig one of those little ditches over there, fill it up with water, and it would be an ocean that would be 400 feet deep, the Sahara Desert would. How about that? Doesn't TT take 40%? No, TikTok takes 40%. They take 60%. They do. They are ruthless. That's why they'll never sell that thing, man. It makes a fortune. This is in the desert of Dudeel. They call it Negev right there, but that's exactly where those stones, look at the sharp, jagged stones. I mean, where do they come from? You can't build nothing with that. And we just read them, and they were, I sort of zoomed into that, didn't I? Yeah. Go buy him in Dudeo, in a region called Dudeo. Throw him, dig a hole in Dudeo, and put a pile of rocks on top of him. Let's go there. That's Dudeo. That's Tiberias right there. And then this one, Dudeo. That's the Sea of Tiberias. That's the Jordan River. That's the Sea of Galilee right down there. Those little black things right there, those were in that video. They're little piles of black rocks, and there's a hole right there. Just like it says. This one. Put that. Whatever. People just think I'm crazy. I'm like, oh, no, you can read that, and then you go ask it where Dudale is. They'll tell you. I hope y'all like the way that I read the Bible. I literally let you read it right with me. The third page. It's good. GT8 pack. I love you so much. That's my wife. So sweet. So just the best thing. Poor thing's been sick all for a week. And I hope she feels better. She, that word in my heart, it was just lightning in there and she didn't feel good. So I went and sat with her for a little bit. I certainly appreciate all of y'all sticking around and learning the book of Enoch with me. Thank you so much. I certainly appreciate what I missed. You didn't miss nothing. Couple of pages. We're on verse 11 right now. Enoch chapter 4, binding Azazel. And we are all under attack. Well, I guarantee you. We are all under attack. They will. And y'all hear that ceiling fan? Because I'm hot here. Hope that didn't tear up the thing too bad. This is my Tuesday night class, so I really do appreciate this one. My Wednesday night class, this book of Enoch, I'm going to tell you something though. This tells you some good things. It just sort of talks about the fallen angels and what happened to them. The Thursday night class, the Acts of Pilate and the descension into hell. Well, don't miss Thursday, boy. Don't miss Thursday. That one is, gosh, that's just such a great piece of work. But all the stuff that I'm reading for you, this is Dead Sea Scrolls material. This is something that was verified in 1940s and 50s. I mean, everybody in the world that was anybody went to the Qumran Valley into the Dead Sea Scrolls to try to find some secrets of David, and they all verified that these books were legitimate and that were over 2,000 years old. So, all right. And we just left off with Azazel being bound up. And it said, and heal the earth, which the angels, the watchers, have corrupted and poisoned. Proclaim and bring forth the healing of the land, so that the affliction may be removed, and that mankind may not perish due to the destructive knowledge that the watchers have disclosed and taught to their sons. Indeed, the entire earth has been ruined and stained by the works taught by Azazel. Therefore, attribute all sin to him. And to Gabriel, the Lord said, proceed against the bastards, the illegitimate, and I don't think that he would have used that word. And again, this is an amplified version of this, but I would have probably picked a better word than that. And Gabriel said, proceed against the illegitimate offspring and reprobates, those utterly lost to the wickedness, and the children born from the union of the angels and women. Destroy these offspring, the children of fornication, by causing them to war against one another. Set them against each other in battle so that they kill each other. For they shall not have a long life nor extended years. And do not accept any petition or request on their behalf, even from their fathers, the watchers. For they hope in vain to obtain eternal life, imagining that each for them that they may live 500 years. And the Lord said to Michael, go bind Samlazaz. I can't even say that word right. Samlazaz and his companions, those who have defiled themselves by taking wives from among the daughters of men, and who have corrupted themselves with every kind of uncleanliness, and their sons have slaughtered one another, and they witness the ruin of their beloved children. Bind them securely for 70 generations, a symbolic fulfillment of time, and confine them in the valleys of the earth, deep prisons underground, until the day of their final judgment and everlasting condemnation. Then they shall be cast into the eternal abyss of fire to suffer torment and imprisonment forever and ever. I'm going to tell you one thing. It says 70 generations. And me and you're sitting there going, well, we live 80 years and a generation would be 40 years long. So those dudes lived 1,000 years. And it says that Adam lived like 3 days short of 1,000 years, which was like 970 years or something, because he had sinned on the day that he sinned, he died. So just know that 70 generations would be 7,000 years. And I sort of feel like that number 7 and 70, that's just something that's just going to come up over and over again, and you're going to find out that it's all on the seventh day, and as we approach the 7,000th year. understand that that's going to be a big turning point for us. Enoch chapter 4 is where we're on. If you haven't downloaded the study guide, it's right up there on my bio page. You click on my link tree and you can download that. And this is Enoch chapter 4. And I'm trying to press through this because it's a pretty long chapter. But this is just telling where the angels were bound and where they're binding them and all of the punishments that are to be executed against them and what they were being held for. But one of the punishments was to watch their own children commit war on each other and perish. And I think that was, what he said the punishment would be was you get to watch your children do that to each other. And you're so proud of them, and you're going to watch them slay each other. So awesome. Kenneth Walters, I certainly appreciate. Randy Staley, you're always in there. I certainly appreciate that. And I really do want to stay and keep reading this, and then I'm going to pull my head up and start answering some questions. And mostly the questions are, why was this ever taken out of the Bible? And I just want you to know that we're not reading anything in here. There's nothing that you're going to read in here that says, hey, man, go shake snakes at people and go build a pyramid, and nothing crazy. It just tells you an accented story of Genesis 6:4. And it tells you about the fallen angels and the punishment and why God flooded the earth. And, we're supposed to believe. Time for Arlo. Where's he at? Arlo. I'll get somebody to bring him in here. Let me read this one more page, and I guarantee you Gigi will come walking in here in just one more minute. Y'all still hearing me good? Everything okay? I love y'all. Thank you so much. Disco, honey. Got to keep up with all these people coming in the room. Thank you so much. Man. And all who are condemned, those found guilty and destroyed, shall be bound together with them in chains of judgment. And this punishment shall extend to the end of all generations. Destroy all the spiritual offspring of the wicked, the spirits of the reprobate, and the children of the watchers, for they have brought grievous harm and injustice to mankind. Wipe away all unrighteousness from the face of the earth. Bring every evil deed and wicked work to an end. Let the plant of righteousness, symbolizing the holy offspring and truth, spring forth and flourish. It shall bring blessing to the world, and all the works of righteousness and truth shall be sown in the land and shall bear fruit and joy forevermore. Then all the righteous, those who are upright and blameless, shall be delivered and preserved. They shall live long lives, begetting thousands of children, and they shall enjoy peace and complete all their days, both in youth and in old age. Then the entire earth shall be cultivated in righteousness. The soil will be fruitful and productive, and all will be filled with trees and overflowing with blessings. Every kind of desirable tree shall be planted upon it, and the vineyard shall be established. The vine shall yield abundant wine, and every measure of seed shall produce 1,000-fold, and a single measure of olives shall produce 10 presses full of oil. Cleanse the earth completely. Remove all oppression, injustice, unrighteousness, sin, ungodliness, and impurity. Destroy every stain and corruption from off the earth. All the children of men shall become righteous, and all the nations of the world shall worship me. They shall offer adoration and praise, and give glory to my name. The earth shall be purified, free from all defilement, all sin, all punishment, and all torment. And I will never again bring destruction upon it from generation to generation forever. That's that last piece right there. And that ultimately does happen. And, of course, we always ruin everything. Hamburger pizza, Dad. I need a cookie, Dad. I do, Dad. I do. I love you. I love you, Arlo. I do. You gonna read with Daddy? Don't leave me. Don't leave me. Dad, I don't like them stupid headphones on. If you take them headphones off, I'll stay right there. He don't want to stay up there. Well, he wants to stay with his mama sometimes. But you know what? He puts up with me a pretty good bit. We'll see if I can get him to stay right there and read this. Arlo is such a sweetheart, and I love him. He's been on my shoulder his whole life. Let me read this. This is his last piece about that, and I will read this through this page. There he goes. You go. Oh, he wants to sit behind me now. Now he's stuck behind my back. He likes to lay there. That's how he spoons when he sleeps with you at night. He sleeps like spoons. Arlo, he's a sweet dog too. Be a little dog, 3.5 pounds, man. He holds the bathroom from 9 o'clock at night until 9 o'clock the next day, man. He's amazing. I love him. Hey, AJ, I'm working on getting a green screen for the YouTube people. I love the fact that he's able to post comments and all. We're just learning this right now, and y'all are learning it with us. I got to push this piece of puzzle in here. That means I've been on for an hour or 55 minutes. All right. Let's read this last piece right here. And this is just great. Any questions that we got so far? 2-ton heart, JD. 2-ton heart. This freaking guy. What'd you call me? This freaking guy. Am I a good thing? Was that a good thing? Oh, that's your name. This freaking guy. You shared a live. You did share it. Oh, I see all these comments. These are all my best people. That looks like Georgia Peaches, but I can't see what it says. It just says hearts. I love you to death. All right, KC Disco. I got off work and too late. Dang it. No, you didn't, Robbie. We'll put this on YouTube for you. We're right here on the next to the last page. And it just told where Azazel and Daryl got bound and where they got thrown into the desert in a hole. And this is fascinating. I certainly appreciate all of the help. And Arlo is still literally right behind me like a spoon. Now I can't crush him. You got to watch out for him. Let's read this real quick. Since he's gone, I can put these on. It lets me know when I'm over the microphone, right? And in those days I will open up to the storehouses and the treasure chambers of the blessings that are in heavens, and I will send them down upon the earth to enrich the labor and works of men. And truth and peace, the twin virtues of divine order, shall dwell together in unity throughout all the days of the world and across all generations of mankind. Before all these things happened, Enoch had already been hidden away, taken from among men, and none of the children of men knew where he had gone, nor where he was dwelling, nor what had become of him. His activities and divine assignments were with the watchers, the holy and fallen angels, and his time was spent among the holy ones of heaven. Now, if y'all remember that they took and conducted Enoch into the Garden of Eden, and he was into the Garden of Eden, I believe that was Jubilees chapter 7, and there he sits and writes the testaments of the world. So that was in the book of Jubilees that we read, right? It's all been written. It sure has been. And I, Enoch, was blessed and exalted the Lord of majesty, and the King of ages exalted his glorious name when suddenly the watchers called out to me. They addressed me, saying, Enoch, you are the scribe of the righteous, chosen to record the words of God. Go and declare to the watchers of heaven that those who have left their lofty and eternal home in the heavens and who have defiled themselves by laying with women as though they were men, taking wives for themselves from among the daughters of mankind. And so say to them these words from the Lord. You have committed great destruction upon the earth, and you shall never again find peace. You shall receive no forgiveness for your sins. Your transgressions are irrevocable. And since you delight in your children, those monstrous offspring, which the union of your daughters of men, you shall now witness their slaughter. The murder of your beloved ones shall be laid before your eyes, and you shall weep and mourn for them. You shall make supplication, begging for mercy, forever, but no mercy or peace shall ever be granted to you. And I, Enoch, went to them and declared, Azazel, you shall have no peace. A severe and unalterable sentence has already gone forth against you to bind you in chains. You shall receive no tolerance, no mercy, and no request of yours will be heard or granted. For because of the unrighteousness you have taught to men, because of all your acts of godliness and godlessness and lawlessness, you have corrupted the earth and led many astray. So that's what Azazel got heard right there. You know, we actually did make it through this pretty good, and I am so glad that y'all got to tune into this. You just tell me if there's anything that says it bound the angels underneath the rivers of the Euphrates and all this stuff. That's not in Genesis 6:4. That's later on, and here you're reading it right now, where they bound them in the rivers and where they were bound. It just actually tells you right here on this next page. It tells you. I can touch it. That one right there. Right there. And I awoke and I went to them, and I found them all gathered, sitting in the sorrow, weeping in a place called Azazel, which lies between Lebanon and Sincere. Their faces were veiled in shame. Right there. So you just go look up that place between Lebanon and Sincere, and just know that in that this scroll that says that was buried for 2,000 years along the Dead Sea Scrolls, along the Dead Sea, and we found it in, not we found it, some Bedouin shepherd guy found it in right after the Second World War. So buried in a cave for thousands of years is the exact place where he went and read Mount Hermon and all of these things. I just want you to know that's where it's coming from. This is not a Bill and Ted's Great Adventure, and they found a book in the trash can. This was caves and caves and thousands of scrolls and millions of pieces of fragments of scrolls, and they put those together and said that the book of Enoch, the book of Jubilees, the book of Genesis, and the book of Exodus were all there in almost matched quantity. So Genesis, Exodus, Jubilees, and Enoch were there in about 18 copies apiece. And those holes are pretty scary, actually, in the desert. I know. I want to show them to you. This, it says, go bury him in that area of Azazel. Where is it? That's Azazel. Dudale is what it said. Dudale. Mockham. And then that's Tiberias, so it's right here. And then this one is the hole. It's just one hole. I mean, there's a bunch of them. When I did that video, it's another big hole. It looks, you can see all the lime rock out of the middle of it all. It's good way down into it. Those holes are scary. And they're exactly where they said that they would be. So just know that. I heard that. That sounded like a big gift. I certainly appreciate it. Push the last button, and it makes this one go bah. I'm going to read that. Because this right here tells you about where he went. You know, they descended on Mount Hermon. And that was in the first chapter when the 200 angels descended onto Mount Hermon. So are they still there? I don't know. The holes are still there. Are they still in the hole? I don't know if they're still in the holes. What? Oh, that was lightning, boy. You don't like that, did you? Hold on. You better run in there and get with your mama.
Yeah.
I just scared him. Was that lightning?
That was a big one, yeah.
Oh, we got a lightning storm. The devil doesn't like me reading about him. Don't, boy. He's in a panic. He's pushing the panic button. He's like, oh, man, the trumpet. That dude is blowing the trumpet. I love it. I'm going to read right here. AJ's over there pushing buttons on this thing. And I'm going to read right here. Right there. Then I went and spoke to all of them together, and great fear seized them. They were terrified, stricken with trembling, and they pleaded with me to write out a petition on their behalf, that they might find forgiveness. They begged me to read their petition in the presence of the Lord of heaven, hoping for a pardon and the reversal of judgment. From that point onward, they were no longer able to speak directly with God. They could not lift up their eyes to heaven. You know what? I read the word reflecting pool right there. And I always knew that out in front of the Washington, it was called the reflection pool. I'm like, no, what is reflecting? And it was so that they could look in the water and see the heavens. They were looking for the reflection of heaven because they couldn't look up. They couldn't lift their eyes to heaven. I know. That's my wife. I told her, man, I'm getting ready to knock the 7 seals out of the park, bro. It's so good. But They did. They couldn't lift their eyes up to heaven, for they were filled with shame over their sins, and they had already been condemned. So I just put that little thing in there. It just makes me think that's what the reflecting pools were for, so that they could reflect heaven and they could look down because they were full of shame and they could not lift their eyes up to heaven. There's one right there behind the Capitol in front of the big obelisk in Washington, D.C. Lincoln, he stares right over it facing east with his back to the temple, which it says don't do that. So I wrote out their petition and prayer concerning their souls and record of their deeds one by one. I wrote out their personal request for pardon and for length of life, though they had no authority to ask such things. Then I went and sat down at the waters of Dan. I love that, the tribe of Dan right there, in the land of Dan, which lies to the southwest of Mount Hermon. There I read their petition aloud, reciting it repeatedly until I fell asleep. And behold, a dream came to me. Visions of warning and divine judgment fell upon me. And I heard a voice commanding me to bring the message to the sons of heaven and to rebuke them sharply. And when I awoke, I went to them and found them all gathered together, sitting in sorrow, weeping, in a place called Azazel, which lies between Lebanon and Sincere. Their faces were veiled in shame. Then I declared to them all the visions that I had been shown to me in my sleep, and I began to speak the words of righteousness. I rebuked and corrected the heavenly watchers, proclaiming the truth of their judgment. And they didn't like it, and they revolted, and they were going to slay Enoch for bringing that bad word, and he was taken up to keep him from being eaten up. He was getting ready to get the hit. He was getting ready to get hit. All right. We did. We made it right through that. We made it through. Knock it through. Can I get 1 in a million taps? Can he get 1 million? Are we anywhere near that? I was about to say, if we're anywhere near that, I would like to see that. What I want to do is start answering some of y'all's questions. We read through this as the 3rd chapter. I can tell you the book of Enoch, the last chapter it's only 7 chapters, but the 7th chapter it's like 60 something chapters long, man. So it's going to be a super long show. But it doesn't go off on a tangent. It literally just explains a small piece of time when the Watchers sort of defiled the earth. What's the name of the area with the holes for today? I'll show you. It is, I'll show you. The verse says, Dudale, okay? And now they call that, I got it. It's Neville or something like that. Hang on. Push this one. Negev. It's Negev. And it's outside of Beersheba. So, I mean, and this is the desert, man. This is, I just thought this place was super crazy. Look at that. Look at that. Look how little those people are, man. This is a desert. This is in the desert. Look at this. Like a lake. And a condominium right there. All right. And then that's the hole. There's one. That's just one. I mean, that's a mountain. And then that's a big hole. Camel. Is that an angel? I don't know. Could any of the giants' DNA, any of us today, or was it destroyed? No, man, the giants weren't destroyed. Moses sent the spies into the land of Canaan. They came back and said, dude, we look like grasshoppers compared to those people. I know, those pictures are awesome. I certainly appreciate Dudale. No, it's a different word. Dudale. El means something. El is the deity, and Duda is the pot, the cauldron of God. The dude is the kettle. Dude, Dale. Everyone, talk. Have you read Jasher? I've not. I read bits and pieces of it, but it wasn't found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, so I don't. read it. I do read the book of Gad, though, and it's not in the Dead Sea Scrolls. Is it safe to say Adam named? Adam named what? I missed that. Have you read? Yes, Randy, I have read that, but it's sort of like the book of Gad. You got to be careful with that because you don't really know if you're getting a Dead Sea Scrolls. Is it safe to say Adam named the land masses too? It doesn't. I don't think it says that he named the land. I don't think anybody really. I don't remember them giving it a name. I knew they drew lots for it and they described it, but I don't think they said like that's Georgia or something like that. But that's what I say happened. Rome. I love that. Hope you're in Rome. I love Rome. And that is what we're answering questions for. People talking about Peter going to Rome. Peter doesn't never go to Rome in the Bible. He never did. Me either, just wondering. What were you wondering? Rome. And I tell you what, if you've got a just wondering question, I get a lot of those, man. Y'all please read them to me. I have been trying to do the math on the generations of the fallen angels, that the fallen angels will be held. Dudale is responsible for imprisonment. Oh, nice. I like it. That's the bailiff or the judge. No, it's let me see what's on my picture say right here. It says the four horses of the apocalypse, and they are those colors right there. And sure are. There's a bunch of flags that are in that whole area right there that are those colors in the apocalypse. And a lot of people, somebody asked me if are we in the short season. Just know that it says the short season is 1,000 years after the first resurrection, and that was when Christ got out of the grave in 33 AD. And in 1033 AD, there was a huge earthquake right over Jerusalem, and everybody was expecting, Christ to return after the 1,000 years. And it was the release of Satan, man. And it sure did. There's a whole bunch of stuff that goes with that explains this little season. The women of the fallen chose to become sirens. I don't think they chose to become sirens. It says in Jubilees that they were made sirens. And I don't think they got to choose anything. I think they were sentenced, and those were some of the ones that tells all through there. Billy, that says that they were taught the enchantments and how to cut roots and how to make spells. It even says in this book of Enoch right here that the women were taught special things and proclaim man perish. Yeah, and I'll then destroy the spiritual wickedness. I forget y'all just read that with me. I love reading that stuff, man. There's nothing in there. Has anybody read anything in the book of Enoch or in Enoch 1 or in the book of Jubilees that you just found I can't tolerate or I can't believe? So are herbal remedies good or bad? I would think the herbal remedies are good. I enjoy every one of them that I can take, but I can assure you God put everything we need on this earth. So like the cure to cancer has got to be in the ocean or something like that. I don't think it's some mix or debauchery or any of that stuff. I think I saw that the pharaohs were buried with a stomach full of pumpkin seeds, and I was like, what does that do? And I looked it up. Have you ever made any content on space with the Bible worldview? Content on space with a biblical worldview. It's not so much space. I love the firmament in this old Bible right here. It says expanse, and this is the old Hebrew Bible, and it says expanse. It doesn't use the word firmament, and he put something in between the waters, and it expanded, and it had waters above the firmament and the waters below. So when you use the word expanse, it makes you think that it expanded, and then it got bigger. So, a lot of people put a round shape to that. Some people put a flat shape to that. I honestly don't know. I could care less. It doesn't buy me 1 day of time. Doesn't buy me 10 minutes of time on this planet. Oh, I was telling you about the pumpkin seeds, man. They don't. They cause you not to have worms, and they kill worms, intestinal worms. And one of those dudes was like Herod or somebody was eaten by worms. And I was like, why would they bury this Pharaoh dude stuffed him full of pumpkin seeds? So I got some and ate them the other day to get rid of whatever worms I might have. A realm. We live in a realm. And you said the word that I love it. I love that word. We live in a realm, man. We can't even describe how to build a blade of grass. We don't know how to build an acorn. Nobody on the planet knows how to create any daggum thing. And, we're trying to sit here and figure out, hey, I know exactly how the whole thing spins around. No, you don't. Man, you got this thing spinning around. You got a tree breathing what you don't breathe and breathing what we breathe and back and forth and all this stuff. And you think you got this thing figured out and just wasting your time trying to figure out how big this planet is or what shape it is. Just sort of crazy. It doesn't get me anywhere. And God is the only one that knows. There's nothing new under the sun. Nothing new under the sun. I guarantee you. And it is, nobody knows that. I hate for people to get off on this tangent. It's not going to buy you a minute of time on earth if you can tell me what shape it is. I really do know enough of both sides of the argument. I can tell you, if we're spinning around as fast as they say we did, the sundial should be a comical thing. It should have a little, it should spin it around. And if it's not something where we can see the other side of the expanse, I don't know why we can't see the Southern Cross from the Northern Hemisphere. It's somewhere else in the sky. But those are just the simple little things. The Georgia Guidestones, you could always look through one little hole. Okay, that stops the spinning thing. And it does say that the planets operate on their course and rotate on their course and their given course, the stars and all of that stuff. So it says that the waters run their course and the tides run their course and the moon and the sun and all. So I just know that those things are what it says, and I read the word. I do not like what man says. Man, he'll tell you to go put on a mask and stay in the house for 2 weeks to curb the spread. I did that. I didn't take anything else, but I did that, trying to do my part and put on a paper mask that was supposed to protect you from a virus, and somebody could poop next to you and you'd smell it and go, did I just catch a virus from you? I took asbestos abatement courses and lead abatement courses. I know what a real mask is, and those nothing to do. Any idea what the mark of God is? I tell you what, the mark of God, no, I don't know what that is. It says that that will be put on us. The mark of God, the mark of the devil that says they're going to put in their forehead. Goliath, he had a little mark put in his forehead. And he was out there talking trash about the Lord for like 40 days, man. And 40 is a big deal. So he was talking trash for 40 days. And he got that mark right there. But I do not know what the mark of God is. It's going to be in your head or in your wrist is what the mark of the beast is. It's in your head. So, if the mark of God is in your head, it's going to be your actions. It's going to be in your thoughts. If it's in your wrist, it's going to be in your actions. So just know that, I walk up, I had on my children call them my Jesus clothes. It's the cheap clothes I bought off of TikTok. It was a blue kufandi thing. And I love wearing that stuff. It looks like pajamas. And my son, he goes, those look like pajamas. And I was like, they don't come off as like I'm ready to, being combative. I saw a video that said Jonah died in the whale and resurrected, and he was and he was spit out. I tell you what, I believe that Jonah, well, I don't believe it. You read Jonah in the first chapter, it says the whale took him to the bottom of the ocean, and he went behind the gates that were at the bottom of the sea. So he got locked away, and when he felt total separation, I believe that he had died. And man, I tell you what, when he got cast back out, when he got given his second chance, I assure you, whatever he saw was so convincing to hear him retell that story. It would almost be like if you actually witnessed a horrific crime or something like that, and how you would just be stuttering and going, and you would be telling the story. And if you didn't witness a crime, you would be more like Jesse Smollett going, it was like, it was really bad there. And I think that he was just totally tripped out whenever he walked up and probably had fish guts and smelled like hell, and literally, and said, you have to do this or either your whole city of Nineveh is going to be destroyed. And he convinced the king of Nineveh to dress in sackcloth and ashes. And the king told everybody in the city of Nineveh and the animals to dress in sackcloth and ashes for a day. And God did not destroy the city because of that. And I'm going to tell you that Jonah had to be very, very convincing to do that. Do you think our ascension could mimic Jesus 40 days after Easter this year? I don't think our ascension would mention that. But then again, I'm just me. I haven't read that, and I think about the things that I've read, and it says that he's coming back, or not. He's coming back. It says the devil is released after 2 1,000-year periods. And hallelujah, we know the church got started, 2,000 people that saw the resurrection. I know the church did get started, and they went to Antioch, and we were first called Christians in Antioch. And it's just an amazing story to read that, too. So I certainly appreciate all of y'all input in here. As soon as I get questions about, the different older books of the Bible, why they weren't in here, the book of Jubilees, and why did they take that out? It just makes all the sense in the world. It says that the enemy will come to you as a bearer of light. Says the enemy will come to you as a bearer of light. That almost sounds like 1 Peter 5:8, where it says, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, as a lion, walks around, your adversary, the devil, as a lion, walks around seeking whom he may devour. And it's just very true, man, that the devil walks around as a roaring lion. He's going to look just like somebody that you would trust, man, just like the Lion of Judah. And he's going to walk around just as a lion. Off topic, can I still celebrate Christmas and put up a tree? I honestly think that the whole thing we're speaking about, where they say you take a piece of wood and deck it with silver and gold, that's literally talking about building a statue and shaping the wood and then plating it. And it also uses the word foundry, which is where they form and shape metals. And, it says don't plate wooden things with metal, is what it's saying. And it just does it in such an antiquated way. But gosh, half of the things that Solomon did in the Bible, which he broke every rule that you could break, he built all of that temple. A lot of it was built out of the cedars of Lebanon, and he covered them with gold. Why does Genesis say replenish the earth? And does that mean that there was life before? I don't think that there was life before. Sorry about that. I don't think that there was life before humans. I do know that the angels said, hey, let us make man in our image. Let us make them in our image. And, they were probably hanging around, and there's a, butt ton of them. And then I do believe that mankind was created and that God built a perfect garden to put them in and separated them. And then whenever they were kicked out of the garden, Cain said, hey, I need you to put a mark on my forehead so that, there's your mark on the forehead thing, so that they won't kill me. Well, if you read the Bible, it's, Adam and Eve. And, Cain is the only other person. He just killed his brother. Yes, can you remind me of the dates that you have for the 2,000 years? Yeah, sure. And the dates that I have for the 2,000 years, you'll love this one. I'm really working on the 10 seals. And they're, I think that they're per every 1,000 years. But, I got this for you. I got a copy of the book of Revelation. Let's read that right here. Push this one. There you go. There's the first 1,000 years is the first resurrection right there. Touch this button right there. There you go. But the rest of the dead live again until the 1,000 years are finished. This is the first resurrection. So after the 1,000 years, 1,000 years after the crucifixion, that's when the rest of the dead yet live again. And that's called the first resurrection. And then it says, blessed and holy is he that has part in the first resurrection. And on such the second death hath no power. And it says, in the second part of that the second death is yet another 1,000 years. And after the 1,000 years is finished, Satan will be released out of his prison right there. And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan will be loosed out of his prison. So just know that the little season was 1033 AD. And it was a big expectation in 1033 AD. They were all waiting for Jesus Christ or something to happen to resurrection. And when that didn't happen, it just turned into all type of debacle. The Crusades started. They went to go take over Jerusalem, and the Crusades started. And it was all kinds of stuff. But in 1033 AD, there was yet another earthquake, and the ground did rent. Tapping. Stacy, y'all keep tapping, man. We got a bunch of people tapping. I certainly appreciate that. But tapping, I certainly appreciate that. Makes complete sense. Which part? I love the fact. I'm going to show you all this. You know what? I got too much explaining to do, but when I read this verse right here, this was what got me on the subject. All right. That's the graves were open. Right there, the fifth seal. All right, let's do this real quick. Cast him into the bottom of the pit, and I saw the thrones of them that sat upon them, and judgment was given to them, and I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus. That's John the Baptist. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus, John the Baptist, and the word of God, which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands, and they lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years. Okay, now that means that they crawled out of the ground right there, and the graves were. And the earth did quake, and the rocks rent, and the graves were open, and many bodies of the saints which slept arose. Are y'all with me? Because when I read this one, it's going to confuse you. So we know that under the altar were the bodies of the saints that were beheaded for the witness of Christ. That's Revelation 20. And when he opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of those who had been slain for the word of God and for the testimony which they had. And they had cried with a loud voice, saying, How long, O Lord, how holy and true, until you judge and avenge our blood and those who dwell on the earth. Okay. Then the white robes were given to them, and we just read in the book of, in the Acts of Pilate, in the dissension of hell, when the two witnesses, and it says that they came out of the ground, right, there, and went into the holy city. And that's where that all happened. And if you know that that's Revelation 20, when he went under the grave, and he that ascended is first, he that descended first into the lower parts of the earth, that means that the fifth seal, was opened when Jesus Christ went into the ground. Watch this. If that fifth seal is when Jesus went into the ground right there, that's the fifth seal. And that seal right there is when the little season is. That's when there was an earthquake in 1033 AD, right there, there was an earthquake. And that 2033, that's the end of this second death, the second 1,000 years. Jesus Christ died right there, 1,000, 2,000. There's Revelation chapter 20 right there when he went under it. The fifth seal was opened there when he went under the altar. So there is 7 seals, 10 to be broken. I don't know where you got 10 from. But it's the 7 seals on that. And if Adam, that was the first seal, and he was given a crown, and he was told out to go conquer the earth and conquer what he could conquer. That's Adam right there, man. And then he's the white horse. Okay, Jesus comes in on the white horse, man. He's the one with the crown. So there's the first one. And then the red horse of war was given a great sword. That's the Watchers in 3000 BC, 1,000 years later. So there's 1,000 years. Each one of these is 1,000 years. Okay, so he opens the first seal on 0, the second seal on the first 1,000 years. The third seal is right there. That's Abraham, and it says it was a black horse, and he had the scales and the balance scales and a penny for a measure of wheat. There was a famine in Egypt, and the famine in Egypt was what was taking away from all that and the balance scales, and that's Abraham right there. You can see those dates and the times and all that stuff. And hang on, AJ, he's playing with the screen. And so this is the project that I'm working on, and I just told AJ, I said, this is something that, I need you to focus on with me here. And then, so that's the third seal, Abraham. 1,000 years later, that's King David, and hell followed with him, and there was death. And, David, he was like, he's slaying his 10,000s, and he slayed his 10,000. He was like so bloody his hands wouldn't even work. So there's David, and so he did that, and hell followed with him. That's his boy Solomon that built the temple and all that stuff. He's a special group right there. And then that's the fifth seal. We just talked about that with Jesus, and they gave the white robes and all that stuff. And it says right there, whenever they were resurrected, that they were that when he resurrected, the ground split open, the bodies walked through the streets of Jerusalem, and we'll get 200,000 later, and it's Jesus. And then 1,000 years later is when the little season is, and Satan must be released for a little season. One bigger thing than that is it says that is the rest of the dead yet live again right there. So, the rest of the dead, the people that didn't get out of the grave here, they got out of the grave right there. And then that 1,000 years is the second death, where they'll break that seventh seal. Here's the trick, though. The seventh seal is literally silence in heaven, and then they're going to blow the trumpets. Ye double ha. And you ought to read the trumpets, man, and just hurt your feelings. But we could have pulled all of these tricks off. There's the white horse. That's the first one. He went out given a bow. Noah was given the bow to go conquer what he was given the bow as a sign. And Adam was told to go out and just inhabitate the earth. And then the Watchers right here, man, they were the same. That's a red horse of war, and they forged and made swords, and they taught men so the dead will rise and walk the earth. The dead rose and walked the earth right there in 4,000 BC, a bunch of them, and they were seen by many. Know that, Rob. And then Abraham, he's right here, but I can show you. Let's read some scriptures, because I don't like people to think that I'm making this up. Matthew 27, verse 52, and the graves were open, right here, and the earth did quake, and the rocks rent, and the graves were open, and the bodies of many saints which slept arose, and came out of the graves after his resurrection, and went into the holy city, and appeared unto many. So just know that the dead people got out of the graves in 33 AD, right there. And I don't have all my backup data that says on April 3rd, 33 AD, there was an earthquake, and there was an eclipse. And in 1033, that happened too. So you were just saying, hey, did the dead get out of the ground? No, they sure did. They sure did. That's my book I'm doing right there. But I'm putting this all together for you because I'm going to print a book, and thank you, Gigi, so much. I certainly appreciate that. I certainly appreciate all the gifts. It's what's got me going 100 miles an hour with these things. All of my subscribers, I certainly appreciate that. I've loaded up these pictures of Europe, Egypt, and biblical pictures, and they're all where you can download them now and use them in your work. These are amazing pictures. Cleopatra's Needle, all of the old works and what have you. And I want you to use these. These are in the public domain. So people have been saying that TikTok's going to crack down on copyright stuff. So that's why I want you to use all of my work. You can use all of my work. Go to my website, and you can download all of my work. Is free, and use it. And all of my pictures are in the public domain, or I won't use them. And that way they can't give me any static about it. Like all these pictures, these are Dore, and I love them. How much longer are you going to be live? Oh, I don't know. Probably about 30 minutes or so. Well, what's going on? What you got? What you got for me, Rabina? Tell somebody to get on it. Oh, you know, somebody was going to get the grandmama on here today, and they said, how can I get her to listen to the Dead Sea Scrolls? She said they shouldn't be in the Bible. And I said, well, you know, they sent all the people over. I wish you'd do a question and answer. I'll do a question and answer. Let's go. Question me. Or is that game? Y'all ask me a question, man. I love it. Rabina, go. That's what I've been trying to do. You ask me questions. I asked some questions on this little trivia game, buddy. I mean, that smoked some people's eggs on that. I'm here texting. I'm texting. I love it. You're as bad as me. I type with my thumbs, and I love answering people's questions, and they'll pin them up. My moderators are in here watching. Thank you so much, Crypto Nun. I certainly appreciate that. We have just had such great luck with the T-shirts and stuff like that. Mr. Morris, he's got these things. I'll wait till she gets her question up there. Trumpet shirt. That's a super cool. And then the back of it is a work of art. They're $18, man. I'd go get one while they're cheap before he changes his mind. I told him they were too cheap. And but he's, you know what? It's like they said, make a quarter 4 times, you made $1. You did it. Tell me your question. JD Fun. Oh, you know what? I love that's John the Baptist picture right there. I wish I could go back to that. Way up the chain right there. I don't know where that is, JD. Saw this freak show looking picture in the United Nations building. Could you share when you go live? Would love more people to join. Buy your free. You know what? I put it on my bio page, and I register them. I go live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night. We go Wednesdays at 7 and Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8. I don't know how it got that way, but I certainly appreciate you having that concern. Most of the people that have been following me know that Jubilees is Wednesdays at 7, and we just started putting this Enoch thing in a couple of weeks ago. We're on the 4th week with that, and then this the Acts of Pilate, or the Gospel of Nicodemus, which is New Testament Apocrypha. It's amazing. We read that on Thursday, and wow, that's just got the best book. But I put them on my bio page, and it registers my live events, and I try to do a thing the day of. But with Memorial Day, and my whole house has been sick, man, so I've been just a little off with my schedule. The Trumpet is my favorite on TikTok. David, you're my favorite. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, man. I try to find things if you told me not to read a book of the Bible and it was found in the Dead Sea Scrolls with all the other books of the Bible, thank you so much. I'm going to read the book. Okay, I'm sorry, because it says all Scripture is God-breathed and useful for teaching and rebuking. And I may just say, hey, I learned something, or I may not say that was garbage. You go ahead. And, but I certainly appreciate all that. The Trumpet is my favorite. Y'all asked me that question. I was waiting on you. And I will. Man, we asked some hard questions the other day, and that was a trivia. We had a trivia thing, and we're asking questions, and the people are just now starting to get their Bibles. AJ?
Yeah, a lot of people messaged me. Super awesome.
Yeah. What do you think about Yahuwah and the people using Jesus Christ? I follow John 19:19. It says Jesus Christ of Nazareth. And, I think a lot of people, try to put a name as in, that's your name. Like, your name is Greg. My name is Greg. It's in 2,000 years ago, they wouldn't have named you a thing like that. They would have said, walks with God or from Nazareth. And that's what Jesus meant. It says sent by God or something from Nazareth. So it just know that it was not a called name. And I hear so many things. You do what your divine calling tells you to do. Mine told me to read the Holy Bible, and in John 19:19, it says that his name is Jesus Christ of Nazareth, and that Pilate wrote that in 3 different languages. So I'm going to hold on that one is where I'm going. It didn't say in any other Bible to use those. And so many people do the J thing, and they go, well, there was no J. Yeah, there was no J. There was an I with a hoop underneath it, and it was to make the EU sound. And when you put the little mark above it, it made the Y sound. So you had an I that made a Y if you put the mark above it, and it made a EU sound as a vowel if you put the mark below it, which looks like a J. So they would say Judah. Jerusalem, and it was a EU sound. They all mean the same thing in different languages. They do. That may be Arabic for Jesus or the same thing, but just know I read English. When you read, like I have some kids, I say kids, they were about 16 years old, give me a Bible while I was in Croatia. Have you ever read the book of Adam? I have read it, but it's just pieces and pieces. It's very fragmented. And, that is from the United Nations. I can't stand them. I just can't stand them. Oh, let me show you this. I'm so glad that I put these things together. Let me show you this real quick. All right. We did this. This is the palace of Herod. This is ancient Jerusalem. Now, watch this. And know that they did this to Jerusalem. There's Herod's palace, which was David's palace. There's the temple, and there's the tomb of David. Now, there's the temple, there's David's palace or Herod's palace, and there's the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. So David's tomb is not there anymore, and Herod's palace is. And the Church of the Holy Sepulchre is. Now, before the Church of the Holy Sepulchre was there, when Pontius Pilate ruled and they overtook that area, they put there's the palace, there's the temple, and there's the temple of Venus. So the temple of Venus went in place of the tomb of David. There's the temple, there's the tomb of David, there's the palace, there's the temple, there's the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and before that happened, there's the temple, and the temple of Venus was put in place right there. And that's the abomination of desolation. Just know that. So the abomination of desolation was done by Dr. Dummo Maccabee and the Maccabees, which it says that in the Old Testament Apocrypha, we're reading Enoch now, and it says read Enoch right there. That's this one. It says, read Enoch right there, that it should be enumerated amongst the holy books. And then it says, these are the book of Maccabees. Let me read you the book of Maccabees. Right here. And he put swine's flesh on the altar. This is the abomination of desolation. It says those words exactly. And Antiochus, King Antiochus set up the abomination of the idol of desolation on the altar of God. He put the abomination of desolation right there. Ceased the daily sacrifice, literally in that column right there. And then all of the books, you were saying, what happened to the books of the Bible? Right here, all of the books of the Bible were cut into pieces. Anybody that had one of them, same thing happened to them. Anybody that had their babies circumcised, bad things happened to them too, and their child. And this was right here. That's Antiochus. That's when he overtook Jerusalem. A couple of pictures right here. He made the daily sacrifice cease in 168. And 7 years later, he made a covenant with Rome. 7 years later, he made a covenant with Rome. And he called himself the King of the Jews right there. All right. So just know that happened right there. There's the daily sacrifice ceased. That's where that guy calls himself the King of the Jews, right? I mean, King of the Jews right there. And that's where Jesus was put on the cross right there. It's happening. That is that. That is that one. Daily sacrifice ceased. I love doing this stuff. Why does bad things happen to them? I'll tell you what happened to them. I'll let you read it. You know what? They didn't shut my live down. If they do, I could care less. I'm reading the Bible. And if they can't handle me reading the Bible on here, then I'll just be on YouTube. I will. Let me get my face out of the way. Can you please add those pictures to your link tree so that I can print them and make notes, please? They are in my, these pictures right here of the Bible, those pictures are in my link tree. Those the Pope, Bible that's on my link tree. But right here, what they did, I'm trying to read this sideways because I don't have the paper in front of me. And they hanged the children about, invite Connor Kingsley. Invite Connor, that's my son. I'm so glad that you were in the way, Connor, with your little logo right there. Oh, I can't see it. That thing's right in the way. But it says what they did to their children right there, and they circumcised them. Anyone of them circumcised, they hung around their neck and put them to death. And anybody that performed that operation for those people, they put them to death too. So all of the Jewish leaders with their books and the people that circumcise anybody, they ceased the daily sacrifice, put them all to death, burned all the books, made a 7-year covenant with Rome, called himself King of the Jews, and all of that happened in Palestina, and they named it Palestina. That dude right there, they named it Palestina just to make the people mad because that's where the Philistines used to live, and Goliath lived there before that. So they named it Palestina just to make the people remind of the word Philistines. And they did that just to, come on. And are those the false Jews? I don't know. Any of the Jews that are real Jews that say, I am super Jew, they don't believe Jesus Christ. They don't believe in Jesus Christ. And he who denies Christ denies the Father the same as the Antichrist. It's the spirit of Antichrist. So just know that. Yeah, what year was that? What year was what? Oh, right here in, what do you want? Oh. Get out of here. Run away. He won't run away. He got little legs. That year was, I got it right here, it's like 161 BC, 170 BC. Touch the picture. I will. Right there, the daily sacrifice was ceased in 168 BC. You know that? Be nice to Arlo. He was barking because I'm always nice to him. He's a dangel. That's what I call my little granddaughters, dangels. Darling angels. Be nice. I got everybody reflecting that in here. Chatting person, just reading the form, and Daniel. Yeah, Daniel said, go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed till the time of the end. Add these link trees to subscribers. Please, please, please add these link trees for subscribers to print. These pictures right here are in my, those pictures right there. A lot of them are in one of my study guides. That last one I did with the Maccabees has a ton of these pictures like this right here, and check that out. And Georgia Peaches, I will put that in for the subscribers. I'm having to load those in, and the color pictures in 4K, it'll only hold 10, so I have to redo all the text and all that stuff, so I'll throw those in there for you. And I'm sorry you can't print those stickers. That's why I put all those things in there, and you learned on Buy My Fruit. I went to your page to see if I could use the stickers, and the stickers don't blow up. And I thought you could see those 4K pictures, so I'm sorry, and I'm doing them. So you can see what I've been doing, though. Hang on. I'll show you. I did all of these pictures. I did all of those, all of these. I had to rewrite all that text, man, all of that crap right there, because that words right there, that's what's copywritten. That picture is not copywritten. Those words were done in 1974. So I had to take the picture, which was in the public domain, and then redo the text right there. So I certainly appreciate that. Is somebody in the room feel like the chapter of Maccabees? What chapter of Maccabees? I think that is, it's like chapter 4 in the first book. It's right there at the front because I wish I could go up. I didn't really set up to do the Maccabees thing, but literally in the first chapter it talks about Alexander and Alexander the Great. Do you think that we will see the division of land, peace, deal in Israel, or will be raptured? I'm not really sure when that whole thing with Israel. Israel is not a piece of dirt, man. Israel is a dude. Israel is Jacob, and that word means struggles with God. In 1948, right about the time they found the Dead Sea Scrolls after the Second World War, I think it was like the Biltmore family or somebody went over there and created the place called Israel. But, dude, that was in 1940s or something like that. That place was called Palestina. And they named it that just to make the locals mad because the Philistines used to own that place. I did a whole thing on that, a TikTok on it. But they did that. They named it that just to make the people mad because the Philistines used to own it, and that's where Goliath lived. Hello, late getting here. Yep, you are just touch. Bit late. But AJ's been real good about putting those things onto YouTube. So I love the fact that he's no rapture is a false hope. Ezekiel 13. Rapture means extreme happiness, and I can assure you that that's not a false hope. I am extremely happy. And if you read the words, you can tell, sort of when the season is. But I hope that you can. Ezekiel, you got a great name there. Every knee shall bow, I guarantee. And all people go, I'm going to be taking it first and all that stuff. Let me tell you something. It says real quick in Matthew 24, and all the tribes of the earth shall mourn. I know that. Every knee shall bow, and all the tribes of the earth shall mourn. And it says that right after it says, and immediately after the tribulations of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give it light. And you shall see the sign of the Son of Man coming in the sky. Right there. Might be a dumb question, but can you rewatch the lives? Sort of new to TikTok. You can rewatch the lives, but you can't do it on here. You have to go to my YouTube page, and we have them all downloaded there. And the Jubilees is probably our best loaded, but if you go to my bio page on my link tree right there, and then go to right there down. Oh, that was lightning. I heard that. Damn, that almost killed me. Almost died. Come here. Damn, that almost killed me. Almost died. Come here. He's literally running around in circles. You don't like that, do you, boy? He don't like lightning. He don't. I'm so sorry. But, yeah, you can go there and check out my stuff. And the YouTube page, they're right there. I'm sorry. My dog was freaking out because it's lightning. And there's all the stuff, the Book of Jubilees. And I believe we're reading, that's that Maccabees thing. That's where all that you were asking about the Maccabees and chapter. Go watch that on YouTube, man. I got all the pictures and put it in there. And he is scared to death. He's running around like a little squirrel with a shaggy haircut. He thinks he can take a squirrel. I think the squirrel might take him, but he runs up to them squirrels, and they quit running away from him so much now. I think he's gonna join Mortal Kombat with one of these things. But AJ does such a good job of taking all of the fat out of these things and making audiobooks out of them. So all of this the talking, he's going to chop all that out and then just have where I read those chapters. They're really cool, though. I really have enjoyed. He's put so much. That's like Enoch. If you want to go, the whole book of Enoch is on my YouTube. And I read it right there. 17,000 people watch that. And, it's like one of my first songs. Cackling Goddess. Oh, you know what? If y'all just join, man, it says that they were supposed to take and bind Azazel hand and foot and take him and put him in this part of the desert right here, and in the desert, and to dig a big hole and put sharp rocks and jagged rocks on it. I'll show you what that is. Dudale. That means the cauldron of God. Dudale. Dude means cauldron. El means God. Can we buy that map you made? I really... What map? I didn't make... Oh, you're talking about this map, maybe. That map right there? I hadn't finished with this one. I got to put all the verses. This is 7 seals right here. I got a whole book on that. Look right here. I did. You can do it. This is the book. And then this tells all about the 7 seals. And the first one is Adam and how it has a bow. And the second one is in the days of Jared, the red horse of war, and he's given a sword. It all makes sense, man. The if y'all, let me show you real quick.
They want to know where to get that big time map.
Oh, the Adam's map of time?
Yeah, this one.
Ah, okay. Let me show you.
This map.
Not that one. You'll go to that page, link tree. Oh, they asking on the live thing.
And TikTok.
Yeah, there it is. That's the Adam's map of time. Now, I can tell you, it's 3 foot tall. And it's 3 foot tall and 23 foot long. And me and AJ were just talking about how cumbersome this thing is. Mine tore all to pieces. But it's man, it's like $20 more on the TikTok shop. And I thought everything was cheaper on TikTok. It's cheaper in Amazon. And if you go to my links in my bio page, which you can buy everything you want to on my Amazon, through my Amazon store, who wrote it? It's the Adam's chart of synchronicity, Adam's time map. You can look it up on that. And it should be about $40 or $50. But they've jacked it. I think it's about $20-something higher on TikTok shop. But there's also a digital version, which I don't know. I personally stretched out my 23-foot map, and I love doing that. I bought the Adam's map. It's so awesome. I tell you what, man, you have to read. It's 23 foot long, 3 foot tall, and you still need a magnifying glass. So if you just give you an idea of how much information is on the Adam's map of time, Demon Slayer, I thank you for pointing that out, man. Now, Elisa, Amazon has it. Elena, I certainly appreciate you telling. Amazon does have it. I've got an Amazon link right there. If you go to my link tree and go to my Amazon links, I've got the right one picked out that has the teacher's guide that goes with it and the learning guide. Make sure that comes with it because it tells you what all the little icons mean. And it's important because you'll know when Satan's little season at 1033 because the Crusades start, and then you can see these little red crosses, and it tells you how many Christians were martyred, and it right around 1033 AD is that when they started martyring all the Christians and all that stuff. It's a temple. What's a temple? Washington Monument's a temple. It is. It's packed with info. I bought mine through your link. Thank you so much, Demon Slayer. It is packed with info. Did you get the little? It came with all the books inside of it, the teacher's guide, and those are very important. Don't lose them. I literally have mine, and it's so important. It's the key code. I literally. You gotta have that piece of it, man. It tells you it's the key. What's the key to the Adam's map? Make sure you don't get, because that busts them up, man. If you get the wrong link, it won't have that key in it. And then they go, oh, if you want to buy the key, then it's so and so. And it just literally tells you what all the little pieces are in there. Fix your hair. I knew that was my wife. It's beautiful. That's beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Mine didn't come with one. See, that's what, who said that? Mine didn't come with one. I bet you ordered it off of another link. That's why I made sure that when I order something, I get it and then I post a link. And I had heard that people weren't getting the study guides and the teacher things, or that the people were selling them separately. That link in my bio page it's straight up, and it has all the keys, and it's got a teacher's guide in it too. That's so that you can print for your students. It's super cool. Washington Monument is a temple. It is a temple. The Washington Monument is a temple. It says it right behind Lincoln's head. It says the word temple, and he has his back to the temple. And I believe it's Ezekiel, maybe 48. It says that I'll show you a greater atrocity than these. And then it shows all the people that are facing east with their back to the temple. And Jerusalem, it faces the temple and altar face west. So if you turn your back on God, you're facing east, and that's what that means. And in the space time, can anyone please pray for my best friend's mom? She's having heart troubles, and it isn't. Oh, I'm so sorry, Space Time More. You won a Bible last week, and I certainly appreciate that. And I will pray for your best friend's mom. I certainly will, Deirdre. Please take care of that lady and let your ways and your means be carried out. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. You know, a lot of people say, hey, I want you to pray and make this happen or make that happen. I don't do that, man. I always tell God, I hope your will is done. And because it's so much, his way is so much higher than ours. And it's so much better than ours. And his ways are, you just can't explain them, man. What you may think is a terrible thing may be something that changes you permanently. And we just have to follow God's plan. Her name is Sharon. Thank you so much, Sharon. And I will be praying for you. I certainly will, Sharon. My heart goes out to you, and I certainly hope that you get past all of that. In Jesus' name. And the picture keys. The picture keys is when you're a subscriber, there's a key inside of my thing right there, prayers for my son. His oncologist appointment is tomorrow. I said, Arkansas, Gigi, you know that we are going to have prayers for your son and his oncology appointment and all that. I certainly hope that everything goes good with that, and we will have a prayer and put him right in the middle of it. You know, I really do appreciate all of my close followers, and Arkansas Gigi, she's one of them. And I want you to know that I pray for y'all every morning. I really do. I pray for everybody that's in this room right now, for all of my followers every morning. And I want you to know that I pray that we see this world through his eyes. And his name is Blake. Thank you so much, Blake. We'll be saying a prayer for you, and good luck with that appointment. And I know that everything's going to come out all right, Blake. So you just keep your eyes on the Lord and say a prayer right before you walk in there, and just keep your eyes on the Lord. I'm way late. You are way late, D. My wife's going to make me shut down here in a little bit. But we had such a big section, and man, we burned right through it. But it was the watchers, and we found out all the places where it said to where it told the angels to go put them. I thought that was really an amazing piece of the story. I'll read it right here for you real quick. And, yeah. There's a part that we had just said, and it said to go bind them hand and foot, say Azazel, and go put him in Dudale right there. And then you can go right to Dudale, which is there, Dudale. And that's Tiberias, the lake of Tiberias. And this is Israel, and that's Tiberias. So that's like the Sea of Galilee's there, and Mount Hermon's up there, and they're there. And it says, get a hole, and there's a hole in Dudale. That's just one of them. They're all over that desert. And look at that hole. I mean, that's a mountain, and that's a hole. Like, you could drive a lot of stuff into that hole. It's this place. It is the cauldron of God. Dud means kettle, and El means deity. It is the kettle, or the pot of the cauldron of God. And that's in it. You can see how little these people are, man. Little people. This is all fishes. That's got to be washed out by water, man. You gonna tell me, how is that a road? Crazy. Crazy right there. Look, here's out in the middle of the desert. Drop. We need a little lake. Little condos right in there. Get them Uber Eats. That's what they got. Thanks again for the Bible, and a special thanks to the kind of soul who paid for it. I certainly, I certainly appreciate that. And the people that donate and make this all happen are the ones that pay for the shipping, that pay for the Bibles, that pay for these things. I spend my time sitting right here making these study guides and these study lessons, and I certainly appreciate all of y'all's support. And I get so much of it, and I certainly appreciate it. 301,000 likes on a 2-hour tick, and I just think that that's a 2-hour live session. I think that's just amazing. I need 2 more followers. Gigi needs 2 more followers. Go right there. That's my wife. Go 2 more followers. Somebody click on that, and then she's going to get that. I'm trying to tag them in my stuff because I want them to be able to communicate with you. And they're all my moderators. My son, he's been in here 15 times. You can't see him because he touches his finger up underneath the screen right here. See my fingers. And he punches all the buttons. And we do have it like on a laptop and all that stuff. It's just I'm not the high-tech redneck that I used to be, and it eludes me. Gigi is perfect. Gigi is perfect, and I wish she felt better. I hope she does feel better. And I said a prayer for her last night, and she even said she could say a prayer for me. I was like, I've prayed for you 5 minutes ago. I'll say another one right now. And Gigi, you don't follow Gigi. What are you doing? Gigi, get back. If you don't follow Gigi, that's my son. He's telling you that's my mama. Go follow my mama. I followed. All right. Gigi, I think you made it. Gigi, thank you. All right. She got some more. And that pegs us. I can't wait to read you this thing about the 7 seals. I've got so much work. I just started building a little chart on it. And I certainly appreciate all of my people being on here. I just want to tell you briefly, if you read the 7 seals and you read about them, the first seal was broken. And this is just what I'm reading. The first seal, the white horse, right here, 0 AD, I mean 0. Then the first 1,000 years right here is the second seal, and that's the red horse of war. And he was given a sword, and the fallen angels are the red horse. They learned how to make swords and gave it to man. And, Adam was told to go out and conquer the earth and take over the earth and to conquer the land. And then the watchers taught them how to fight and created the sword. There was a great famine in Egypt when Abraham went through there. That's the third seal right there with the horse and the balance scales and a weight of barley for a penny. And that was what they did in Egypt and what have you. Then you've got right here King David. That's the next 1,000 years. You can go right to here. And that's 3,000 years in. Seal number 4, David. And that is, those are the 4 horses. That's the pale horse of death. And remember, David was pale and he got no heat. And it said right there that these are the last words of David. And then they put this woman with him to try to make him heated up and all that stuff. And then hell followed with him, which is Solomon, which built that temple on Mount Moriah. And then the 5th seal. We just read that 5th seal thing right there. It was right there. And it said the 5th seal was under the altar, and that's where the souls were beheaded, where Jesus in Revelation chapter 20 said he descended into the lower parts of the earth and released those that were the beheaded, that were under the altar. And I saw the witness of those for Jesus right here. Right there. And that's the 5th seal. And it says the 5th seal was when he went into there and locked that. 1033 AD. It's a big earthquake. Everybody was expecting Christ to come out of the ground. It wasn't. It's the little season. 1,000 years later is when the rest of the dead yet live again. And that's when all the bad things started happening to Christians, and the Christians were being martyred, and the Crusades started, all there. And just little facts. 2033 is the end of that. Crack the 7th seal. And then that just means the trumpets start playing, man. It isn't like the end of the day. Money gun for David. Jamie Jameson, I certainly appreciate that. That's my daughter. And David is her son, man. I got him right there. And I don't give David too much static because my grandson's name is David. I love him to death. That little red right there. I remember when she's like 30-something years old. She's a little baby. Red-headed baby. Red hair and green eyes. I love her to death. That's my new book I'm putting together. These are my pictures. Hey, y'all go buy a t-shirt from that Mr. Morse right there. Go buy one. They're $18. You go to my website and you buy one. You do it. They're right there. Trumpet t-shirt. Right there. Touch that button. That's on my link tree. Go to that bio page right there. That's the first thing. Go to the link tree and it'll pop right up. You go to my bio page and touch that link tree right there. And then that'll pop up. That's a lesson. And that's it. On down. You were asking about those Georgia peaches? That right there, that antique Leah Bible. There's a bunch of pictures on that thing right there. All right. Audio books. I have learned more about biblical history from you than I would have dreamed. Debbie, I certainly appreciate that. And just know, if it comes out of my mouth, I just learned it. The thing with the 7 seals, when somebody showed me that thing about the 5th seal, and then we're doing the Acts of Pilate, and that the descension into hell, and then we know that Jesus is he that descended is also he first that descended into the lower parts of the earth and then ascended up high above the heavens. And that's Jesus, man. And that happened on the first resurrection right there. It's so easy to know when the dead got out of the ground and walked through the city streets of Jerusalem, man. I mean, they were seen by many. And that just is amazing scripture. And the earth did quake, and the rocks rent, and the graves were opened. And many bodies of the saints which slept arose, and came out of their graves, and after his resurrection, and went into the holy city, and appeared unto many. That's the walking dead right through the middle of Jerusalem. And in the descent to hell, in the books of Acts, it says that those were the saints. It says that David was one of them, that they held the hand of Michael, walked through the city streets of Jerusalem, were given robes, and washed them in the Jordan. Boom! They washed them in the Jordan. And the 4 horses of the apocalypse are those same colors where they washed their robes in the Jordan. And then it says right there, the 5th seal, that they were under the altar and that they were given the white robes and they walked over. So I'm just telling you, the whole thing sort of ties together. And then they will walk through the city streets of Jerusalem, and that's it. So the trumpets and the bowls, do they happen in 1 hour? No, the trumpets and the bowls happen after... I got this. The trumpets and the bowls are after. I got it in this book. I just show you. Bear with me. There's the order of judgment. I turn it around. Dang, 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 dang. Touch it. Touch those. Mirror that. This one. What? There. It's the seals, then the trumpets, then the vials. Okay? And you can see them in Revelation 6 is the seals. Revelation 8 is about the trumpets. Revelation 15 are about the vials and the bowls. So just know that we're going through the seals, and when the seals are ended for an hour, will be some silence, and then they start blowing the trumpets, and man, that's when all the dirt starts getting kicked up right there. Like I sort of said, when I'm just now putting this together, and I could be wrong, but I think these are the seals. So, we've got Adam over here, and these different 7 seals, and one every 1,000 years. And right here in 2033, which is about 7 years from now, we will see if that happens. These other things happened in 1033. That's right there where the fifth seal was broken and Christ went down under the altar and released the souls that walked through the city streets of Jerusalem. That happened right there. And it says that that was the fifth seal. Right there. The fifth seal says that when he went under the altar and gave them the white robes. So that's the fifth seal of Georgia. When Jesus went underneath there in Georgia. Right there. Now just know, man, and 1,000 years later when the rest of the dead got out of the ground, that was a big day. It was an earthquake and all that stuff that happened there. And like I said, the four horsemen that are in the apocalypse, they are, and they go across the Jordan River and wash their robes in the Jordan. And those are the colors of the four apocalyptic horsemen. And they go across the Jordan. You remember the Jordan's a big thing. Jesus was baptized in the Jordan. The Jordan runs out of Mount Hermon. And the four horsemen of the apocalypse are those dudes' colors, man. They sure are. I got that stuff on my iPad. I just put that together, though. I really did. So but I'm putting all the scripture that goes behind that too. So just know that I don't like to just say things and hey, this is my theory. Just know that on that's a white. Let me touch these buttons because that drives me crazy. To be mirrored. I'm pointing the wrong way. That right there. That's a white horse. He was given a bow, which, in Noah's days they had a bow over it, and he was told to go out and spread out amongst the earth and populate the earth, and he would go out and conquer what he could conquer. And the second horse is the red horse of war, and that was in the year 3000, 1,000 years later, and that's the fallen angels, man. Right then they had they made swords, and they taught men how to use them and created a great war. And then right here in 2000 BC, that's 1,000 years later, that's the third seal, and that's the black horse with the balances beams. And that's when Egypt went into a famine, and Jacob got them to trade their souls for bread. And to trade all of their stuff for the grains and the bread and the barley and a measure of wheat for a penny. And then 1,000 years later is the fourth horse, and that's the pale horse, which you remember David, he was thought to be dead, and he got no heat. And it says right there, halfway through his life, these are the last words of David. And you can just see right here, that's talking about David. And then for 1,000 years later, that's Jesus Christ. Remember that David right here, he actually spoke about Jesus Christ being on the cross 1,000 years before. He wrote, my God, why have thou forsaken me? For the dogs have encircled me, and they pierced my hands, and they pierced my feet. And then 1,000 years later, he gets on the cross, and he says the exact same thing. And he's like going, these dudes have no idea that I'm repeating King David right here. My God, why have that? That's the 22nd Psalm that David wrote. So there's the fifth seal. It says that the fifth seal is when he went under the altar right there. And then 1,000 years later, it says in the book of Revelation that after the 1,000 years, that Satan must release a little season. So I would say that somewhere right in here is a little season. And you can see that's right when the Crusades started. That's right when all the martyrs, Christian martyrs, there's a bunch of red crosses, and that means there were a bunch of Christian martyrs right after 1033 AD. And then in 2033 AD will be the end of the second death, or the end of a 2,000-year period from the crucifixion right there. So just know that a Jubilee year, which we're in a Jubilee year, is the 50th year, and thou shalt hallow it and keep it sacred, the 50th year. And we're 40 Jubilee, 50-year periods away in 2033. That's 2,000 years. 50-year periods is 2,000 years. That's what Revelation 20 says is 2,000-year period, the first resurrection and the second death. So 40 is a time of tribulation, 40 days and 40 nights, 40 days in the desert. It rained this for 40 days. They wandered for 40 years. Just know 40 is the time of test, man. And Saul, David, and Solomon all reigned for 40 years, man. All of them reigned for 40 years. Exactly. So just know that was a testament right there. And we're so reset. Wow. So the reset is actually out. You know what? I just read this. It says a day is like 1,000 years. And when I read yesterday, it was yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. When I read this one, that the fifth seal was when he went under the altar and released those that had the testimony. I knew right then that he was talking about that he saw the thrones and those that were beheaded for the judgment of Christ. It's speaking the same thing. And that's right right where he went under the altar in Revelation chapter 20, after he chained the devil away and bound him 1,000 years. And that he must be released for a little season after the 1,000 years. And it's just becoming more apparently clear to me that the people that are in the 1,000 years, this is the first resurrection. And the people that are in the first resurrection don't have anything to do with the second death, which is another 1,000 years right there. And when that 1,000 years is finished, that's when Satan gets out. So 2,000 years after Jesus Christ was crucified is right there in 2033 AD. So 40 Jubilee periods is 2,000 years, and after 33 AD, after he went into the ground in the fifth seal, that's the sixth seal, and that's the seventh seal. But trust me, that's just when they start blowing the trumpets, man. That's when the dirt starts flying around right there. I enjoy your content. I enjoy my content too, because I love talking to y'all, and I love talking about the Lord, and I love making books and learning about him. And I love bringing this information that's true. This guy right here, Antiochus, right there. I don't know if you just joined. Antiochus, right here, he's the guy that put the abomination of desolation on the altar of God. That's in 168 BC, right there. And he put swine's flesh on the altar of God. And then he took all the people right there that had the books of God, and he put them to death right there. So just know that's the abomination of desolation. That guy did it. That's when they ceased the daily sacrifice in 168. And then 7 years later, in 161, they made a covenant or a treaty with the Romans. And then that guy started calling himself the King of the Jews right there. Jesus Christ is right over here. Jesus Christ is right. There's the daily sacrifice in, and there's where Jesus Christ was crucified. And that's where it says that guy took the name King of the Jews right there. And that was in a place called Palestina. And that was after the Maccabees tried to revolt, and the Romans squashed it. And then they turned around and said, we're going to name this whole place Palestina now, just to make you mad. And it was a resemblance of the word Palestine, or the Philistines, where the Philistines lived when they employed Goliath to go slaughter David and King Saul's army. So that happened. Adams. This is the Adams map of time. I bet y'all talking about that. Sure is. Adams. Say that word. Synchronological chart. You can try to spell that, or you can just put Adams map of time, and I think it has a correction feature that will correct that for you. Super cool book. We've got just a great crowd in here, and I love answering y'all's questions. I hate to go off track. We were in the book of Enoch, and we were talking about where they had gotten bound and where the angels were told to take them in the binding and what have you. And they're right there. Let me show you. We were right there where it said Lord said to Raphael, bind Azazel hand and foot and put him in a hole. Make a hole and put him right there. Throw him in it. One more time, I bet. And put him in Dudal. Hang on, I got a place on that. I can show you right where it is. Dudal is right there. There's Dudal. There's Tiberias, and that's the Jordan River. And there's Tiberias, and like the Sea of Galilee, the Jordan River, Mount Hermon, that's Dudal. And then it says dig a hole. Look how big those mountains are, and then there's a big hole right there. Right there. Hello, love your content. Thank you so much. I will mess my hair up. My wife will be texting in here. Was the book of Enoch to buy? Do you sell them? I am going to put. See how? Look at this. See how this is the Acts of Pilate? I just finished this book, and I made this just for y'all, and I'm going to try to sell this thing. This is the Acts of Pilate, and these are the study guides that we've been going through. But I've taken this thing and put all of my study notes here at the bottom that explain all of the Acts of Pilate. And on each page, it has all of the acts, but it has what the discussions. These are some of the best questions that we got out of the class, and this is my Acts of Pilate book. And it goes all the way down into the descension into hell. Super cool, man.
Hey.
I hear somebody on there.
I
Hey,
How did I get somebody? Hello.
I don't know.
I get somebody in here every once in a while. It's because I put a Griffin.
No, sorry.
That's all right. I probably touched that button on purpose. You were probably supposed to be in the room. I kept hearing little voices back there. But, yeah, I would love somebody to come on and talk, but I just have no idea where those conversations go. I'm not worried about quoting scripture backwards and forwards, but just some people are really hard to untrain. And she did sound nice, didn't she? I have an African-American friend who noticed that African-American history was not included in the map. I don't know about that. In the Adams map of time, I think it does. It's not a big thing to where it tapers off. Basically, when you start getting into the 1800s and what have you, yeah, I think it does get into more of a European format, but I actually haven't read that much of the map toward that end. I would love to buy that. What was it called again? The Acts of Pilate. And that is the book that I just made, The Acts of Pilate. And I put this nice parchment. I do all my stuff in parchment. And I just bound all this stuff. I bind all my books. But it's just a super cool book. And full of pictures, all of these pictures, and the study guides that go with it. It's like 50 pages, and I can't like give it to you as a guide or a PDF or something like that. So I was thinking I'd probably sell it for a couple bucks and get it out there. But I put a lot of work into that, and it really does tell the descension into hell, and it'll help you put some things together about when they wash the robes. It tells right here. I got a great picture, and David speaks out. We were just reading that, weren't we? We read that in the last section. Satan speaks to hell right here. And then, hang on. Hell casts Satan out of his dwelling. Hold on. There's David right there. King David, he's one of the first people that speak, man, when he comes out. And David spake thus unto hell, and the Lord majesty appeared unto him in the form of a man lightning. I love it when they meet the thief on the cross, man. They meet the thief on the cross, and they were like, who's this dude? He looks rough. And the two witnesses tells about the two witnesses. I love that. Where's the thief on the cross? Thief on the cross right here. His name is It tells all about the thief on the cross. It tells his name. Dyson, I think. Oh, I'll tell you, I love this part right here. Oh, and as Enoch and Elias spoke thus with the saints, behold, there came another man of vile habit, bearing upon his shoulders the sign of the cross, whom when they beheld, all the saints said unto him, Who art thou? For thine appearance is of a robber. And wherefore is thou that bearest the sign upon his shoulders? And as he answered them, he said, Ye have rightly said, for I was a robber, doing all manner of evil upon the earth. And the Jews crucified me with Jesus. And I beheld the wonders in creation which came to pass through the cross of Jesus. And when he was crucified, and I believed that he was the maker of all creatures and the Almighty King, I besought him, saying, Remember me, Lord, when thou comest into my kingdom. And forthwith he received my prayers and said to me, Verily, I say unto thee this day, thou shalt be with me in paradise. And he gave me the sign of the cross, saying, Bear this and go unto paradise. And if the angel that keepeth paradise suffer thee not to enter in, show him the sign of the cross. And thou shalt say to him, Jesus Christ, the Son of God, who now is crucified, hath sent me. I love that, man. That's the thief on the cross. Jesus is telling him, hey, man, show him that little mark on your shoulder where you got your little cross or wherever that mark of the cross was. And then he walks right into that. And that book right there is just so full of information. The two witnesses, I know I read that to you before, but it's just amazing to listen to the two witnesses and who they were. It's one paragraph. If y'all want me to, I'll read you the two witnesses real quick. This is super cool, and explains it really good, too. Say yes. Somebody say yes, and I will commit the whole group. Yes, please. That way, you bought the whole group. Chapter 9, the two witnesses. But the Lord, holding the hand of Adam, delivered him unto Michael the archangel, and all the saints followed Michael the archangel, and he brought them all into glory and the beauty, grace of paradise. And there met with him two men, ancient of days. And when they asked the saints, Who are ye? That ye have not been dead in hell with us, and are set in paradise in the body. Then one of them said, answering, said, I am Enoch, which was translated hither by the word of the Lord. And this with me is Elias the Tishbite, which was taken up in a chariot of fire. And up to this day we have not tasted death, but we have received unto the coming of, but we are received unto the coming of the Antichrist to fight against him with signs and wonders of God, and to be slain of him in Jerusalem, and after 3.5 days to be taken up again alive in the clouds. And that's the two witnesses, and there's a little paragraph, and that's the two witnesses, paragraph, and that's the two witnesses, and they are in Hades, and it's Enoch and Elias, and he says, hey, we're here to fight the Antichrist when that day comes, man. I love hearing that. There's nothing more than I love hearing just the slap truth, and hey, there's somebody coming to save us. And they received their white robes right there, man. These are divine holy mysteries. Oh man, these are the two witnesses, and not the two witnesses. The two dudes, when they said the graves were emptied in Jerusalem, they said that the sons of one of the priests, he had two sons and they both died. And they said, you can go over there and look, their graves are empty. And their names were Caranus and Lictus. I know those are backwards, but that's their two names. And they were dead. And then when Christ got out of the ground, they said their graves are right over there and they're empty. And they are in Arimathea, where Joseph is from. And they are just sitting there waiting on us. And they go get them and bring them back. And they said, we want you to tell us what happened. And they said, give us a ream of paper each and we'll write it. And they did a cross on their tongue. And then they shut up and they wrote word for word. And then one gave their book to 6 people and another gave his book to another 6 people. And they both read them. And the people were translated and taken up into heaven. The witnesses were. right there in front of them, and their works didn't differ by one letter. So just know that two or more witnesses testify, and that's why they had the two witnesses. It says that's an old thing in Deuteronomy, man. It says that two or more witnesses make it right. So I appreciate that. I certainly appreciate that. Fantastic show. Thank you so much, Alan. I wish you were my Uncle Alan. I got an Uncle Alan, man. Alan West. Receiving my white robe is the best day of my life. I bet it will be. I hope that happens for everybody. And it says that the books are open, and when another book was open, and they read the books, just know that, there's a couple of books. It says in Revelation that there's a couple of books, and just know that there's the first book that's opened, and I call that the grandma group, man. They get taken right up into heaven. And this is after the judgment. This is after all the tribes of the earth mourn. And then the second book they opened and said, these are the people with the unintentional sins, and parked them over there for a third of the month. And then it says the other people in the book, those are the people that are to be destroyed by Satan immediately, and he carries them off. And I got the two witnesses in the olive tree. You know what? The two witnesses is super cool. And there's a couple of things that sort of throw you off of that, because it says in the book of John, in the first chapter of it, it says that John is a faithful witness of Christ. And then in the first book of, or the chapter of Revelation, it says that Jesus is the true and faithful witness. And I love, you have a good voice, and I love reading. And if you want to ever hear any of my long form stuff, you can go right to my page that AJ did. And he's been building that up, and you can read some of my long form stuff. I do all my books here, Book of Jubilees. These are all audio books. These right here, Jubilee, he broke that down. So if you like hearing the trumpet without all the shenanigans, AJ's edited out all of the nonstop. But if you want to hear the shenanigans, then go play the live, and that'll be 2.5 hours worth of, which I love talking about. They're actually entertaining, man. I enjoy listening to them, but I'm not going to read you any junk, man. I'm going to read you the Apocrypha out of the Old Testament. I'm going to let people tell me exactly which ones. These are the book of Maccabees. We're looking right down here into the book of Jubilees. Pow, we're getting closer. And there it says that these books are to be enumerated amongst the holy documents, the book of Jubilees and the book of Enoch. So, I'm reading them. They're supposed to be counted. The book of Jubilees is the one that says it was written by God, given to Moses, and told to teach men with it. And it never says to kill anybody in there. In that book, and the 10 Commandments say don't kill anybody. So when Moses walked down the mountain with the word of God, none of those words of God said that anybody could kill anybody. And that's what Moses came down the mountain and gave them, the book of Jubilees and the 10 Commandments. And when Jesus was in front of Pilate, he told the Pharisees, he said, Moses gave you the law, yet you still seek to kill me. And they were reading their law. They were reading man's law. And the book of Leviticus gives you about 30 different reasons that you can put somebody to death. And that was man's law. God's law never says that. God's law says that thou shalt not kill. And there's 10 commandments, and really the biggest one that we find in Jubilees is honor the Sabbath, man. That's the biggest thing in Jubilees. It says no matter what you do, honor the Sabbath. And, it should be, because the earth was made in the 7 days, and he rested on the seventh day. And we're approaching, the beginning of 7,000 years since Adam. Adam was 4,000 BC. Jesus Christ would make it 0. And then from Jesus Christ to now is 6,000 years. So in 2033, we will be past the 6th day. And we all know that's not a great thing. And then it's going to rest. And there will be a rest in heaven. And then for about an hour, and then the trumpets will start to blow. And that's when things start getting tore up and burned up and toasted and crisped and all of that stuff. And I'm sure all of the tribes of the earth will mourn. And before that day, I'm going to do my very best to read you every document that is relative to that, whether they call them apocryphal or hidden or whatever they're going to call them. I'm going to try my best to spread the useful word of the Lord and tell you the things that I'm reading, tell you how I'm deciphering these seals. And I'm just going to tell you where I'm going with this stuff, man. You know, these, I feel like, are the 7 seals. These are 1,000-year periods. And we're getting toward the end of the 6th day right there. That's the 7th seal. He opened the first seal on day 1. Then 1,000 years later, that's the red horse of war. There's the white horse, said go out and have dominion over the earth. That's exactly what he told Adam to do, go out and dominate the earth and spread over the earth and breed and multiply. And then he gave man a bow as a sign, and that's right there, the first horse of war. And first horse. Then the red horse of war is the one where the watchers created swords and made swords. 222 people in the room. There you go. Thank you so much, man. I certainly appreciate y'all following. And then 1,000 years later is the black horse with the balance beams and the scales. And it says, give me 2 measures of barley for a penny. That was the famine in Egypt right there that he escaped from. And then 1,000 years later is David. And David was the pale horse. And those are the 4 horses right there, the 4 horsemen right there. And David was the pale horse. Remember, David got no heat. And the last words of David were spoken in the middle of the Bible that's describing his life. And then he got no heat. And they tried to put all kinds of women with him and all to warm him up. And he was pale. And I just know that. And hell followed with him. And that's his boy Solomon right there that built that temple. And then it says the 5th seal, when the 5th seal was broken, he looked underneath the altar of God and saw those that were given for the testimony of God. And that's Revelation chapter 20, when Jesus descended into the lower parts of the earth and locked the devil away. And then 1,000 years after that is a little season when Satan will be released. And 1,000 years after that is going to be the 6,000th year, the 6th day, 2033 is 2,000 years after Christ was crucified. And 2,000 years, if you use Jubilees as a period of time, which is 50 years, it's a 40-year quadrant of Jubilees. And that's 2,000 years. And it makes exact sense. But, you know, that's just what and the 4 horses, they said that when they went through Jerusalem, that they received their white robes and washed them in the Jordan. And the 4 horses of the apocalypse are those colors right there. And just know that the where they went was over the Jordan. And that's the truth about that. I hope this is all sort of making sense to y'all. The Jordan, I can show you where that is. They bound Azazel right there, hand and foot. And they said, put him in Tudale. He's right there. And that's the Jordan River right there. That's Tiberias. So they're right there. Mount Hermon's right there. How long have we been on for? 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Long time.
All right. Let one with ears hear. There you go, man. I tell you what, got the ears, you hear it, start listening to it, help me put this together, and we're working on this together. I got the next book that I'm doing is the 7 Seals. I can tell you right now that I'm putting the 7 Seals book together for you. This is another great work of art. It tells you all about the first seal being Adam, how he was the white horse, had the crown, dominate, how he was given a bow without arrows, which is there was a bow and a rainbow and conquer the earth. And then the second seal was the fallen angels right there, man. They made swords. They were given a great sword. The third is the black horse. That's Abraham. And he was in Egypt when there was a famine and they overcharged everybody for all of the stuff, and he had to escape from the famine and the overcharging of Pharaoh. Then the fourth seal is the pale horse. Year 1000. That's David. And he was pale. David got no heat. I think that Goliath's brother, I think he had a detrimental effect on David's life because Goliath, the dude that fought David, and they thought that David was dead, he girt a new sword, and that sword was the sword that he got from David, and it's Goliath's sword. And David had just gotten that from the temple when he went in there to go get the bread, and he goes, "Hey man, I got my weapons with me. You got any weapon?" He goes, "Yeah, I got a sword in the back." And he goes, "Ooh, there's none like this one," and it was Goliath's sword. There's that. Will you post your book for sale? I sure am. I sure will. I just literally finished it, and I mean, the ink. I just glued this demo together. This is a demo, and I want to tell you this. It's like 50 pages, and got a hard cardstock. What's that stuff? Parchment cover, but it goes through all of the acts of Pilate, all the way to the end, and even says, "Hey, man, what do we do at the end?" This is probably 35 pages, and this. But I tell you what I want to do with both of these books, because I've got them done. All those pictures that I have when I sell these books, they're going in the back of that, and those maps out of my old Bible, they'll go in there. Because if I'm going to mail somebody going to buy this, if I can mail you something, then I can mail you all those pictures, and they'll be on a whole sheet of paper like that. Honey, I need you. Oh, that's my wife. I love it. All right, it is. It is bedtime for Bonzo. I love y'all. Thank y'all so much for joining me. We will be back tomorrow at 7 o'clock, and that's my Jubilees. Y'all are going to trip out on that one. I'll get it loaded in. AJ will load up the lives, and we'll have it all in there. Just put that last live in there. So I'll get the study guides out for you, and we're going to kill this right off. I certainly appreciate that. Let's say a prayer real quick. Dear Jesus Christ, please keep in our life. Please fill our heads with your spirits and have no room for anything else but your love. Please, Lord, let us see this world through your eyes. Let us hear this world with your ears. Let us love this world with your heart. And in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I appreciate that, man. I always pray that every morning. I always pray to see the world through his eyes. Man, I mean to tell you, I told you this morning, I said, I saw some stuff, and it's pretty deep. And I gave y'all a little piece of that chart and all that stuff. That's where I'm going. Those seals being 1,000 years apart. And to tell you the truth, I can tell you that it's making sense that when we get to that seventh day, that's when they blow the trumpets. And the trumpets are when things start getting torn up. And then the vials are when things are just the grave end. So understand that. I love y'all so much, and thank y'all so much for joining me. I certainly appreciate that. I love y'all, and in Jesus' name, thank y'all for joining me. I'll see you tomorrow night at 7 o'clock Eastern.